Hey, 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 it is an unstoppable day. Welcome to the BTBY Presents the Free Mastermind Series. Hey, 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 I'm Terrence, the Unstoppable Coach Leffridge, and together we have with us the professor of change herself, Brenda Ringwood. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning. Good morning.
How
Hopefully
are
my
you?
voice will hold out. It's been a week of it's been 3 weeks of illness, and you name it, it's happened. My voice is working right now, so let's just hope it stays.
Absolutely. Well, as they say, this great day, the Irish eyes are smiling upon you, young lady. Happy St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's weekend to everyone who is celebrating. We thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your celebrations and out of your Saturday to embrace yourself, to become the best version of yourself, to invest in yourself to the level that you expect results. And that's what we do here at the BTBY Mastermind Series. We bring together the best speakers and the best experts in their industry to help you become the best version of you. And today is no different than that. So, as you guys are coming on in, come on in. Let us know where you are watching us from. Let us know where you are watching us from, and come on in and bring a friend, because you're going to get some great information. You're going to hear some fabulous stories, and something that someone may say today, or a couple of people may say today, is going to help you get to the next level of your greatness on your journey to becoming the best version of you. Now, I don't know about you, but I always come to these events with my pen and my notepad, because I know I'm not just the host, I'm trying to become the best version of myself as well. And the pen is the digital recorder for the mind. So let's make sure that you are here. Let's make sure you are in present with what's going on, and let's make sure that you get everything you need to leave here today becoming the best version of yourself. We already see that Rich Steffens is in the building. He says he is here.
Mhm.
Welcome, Rich. And we've got Isabel Luce Camacho Black. She's here, otherwise known as Izzy. And we've got other people coming in saying good morning. So people are getting ready for the information, and they are getting ready to get everything they need to move forward on their journey to hashtag BTBY. If you're watching this right now, go ahead and put that hashtag BTBY in the group for becoming the best you. You know, the BTBY Free Mastermind Series is an offshoot of the BTBY experience. It is our goal to create a movement that's going to help people all across the country, all across the world, take time to tap into themselves and to really take time this year, right here, right now, to get the tools, tips, and strategies to become the best version of themselves. And we do that here at BTBY through our mastermind series, which you're watching right now, through our BTBY experience, our conferences that we have throughout the year, and coming soon, our BTBY youth experience that is coming to a city, state, or country near you. So if you want to make sure that you are always in the know and be on the go with the BTBY movement, then we want you to go on over to our community. Join our community over at comechangeyourlife.com. You see the website on the ticker going across the screen at the bottom. You can find out about everything we're doing. You can find out how you can tap into our speaker academy and any of our other coaching services that we provide. It's all there for you at comechangeyourlife.com. So without further ado, we want to get right on into one of our speakers today. So, Brenda, are you ready to rock and roll with our speakers?
I am. Our speaker, I'll let you introduce him, but he's new to the BTBY family. He's going to actually be in person at our Kansas City event, August 25th through the 27th. You can get those tickets at comechangeyourlife.com. Excited to welcome him in and see what he's bringing to the table to offer our BTBYers. And I met him through a mutual connection. Tammy Joy knows his agent Mitch. So connections, networking, I'm telling you, it works.
Absolutely. And it's all about relationships. If you're on the journey to
It
becoming the
is.
best version of you, you want to be in relationship with other people that can help you in that journey. And we always are open here at BTBY to new relationships that's going to help the movement move to the next level. And I think that maybe this guy may be on to something that can help us do that. His name is Brent
I
Kessler,
think
and Brent,
so.
you think so? Brent was a chiropractor and a chiropractic coach for over 14 years in what seemed like a previous life at that moment. But after implementing his signature method called the money multiplier, he was able to pay off over 900,000, close to $1 million in third party debt in over 39 months. And his main goal now is to simply help more people to understand how to manage their money and to grow their wealth. Now, over the past 8 years, he's been lecturing to thousands of people around the country on the dynamics of the TMM method. Now, don't y'all try to go steal this because he done already trademarked it. And helping individuals to break the bonds of financial slavery and taking control of their own financial life. So, BTBY Masterminders, let's start putting those virtual claps together as we welcome to the stage Mr. Brent Kessler. Hey, Brent, how are you?
Awesome, Terrence. Good to see you and Brenda. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share with you guys today.
Well, we are excited to have you here. Now, before we jump into the presentation, we always know that we cannot talk about a person just from what they write in their bio. And we know that you can probably do a better presentation of yourself than we can. So take a second, or maybe 30 seconds, and just tell us a little bit about Brent, and then we'll throw up your presentation on the screen and you can take it away from there. So, who is Brent Kessler?
Yeah, very good. Well, thanks for that. So, again, I am Brent Kessler. I'm down here in Port Orange, Florida. I live about an hour east of Orlando, right next to Daytona Beach. And so, as you
Okay.
mentioned, yep. So, as you mentioned earlier, I was a chiropractor. I owned 5 clinics in the Kansas City area. I sold my last one in 2017. I personally have not been practicing in chiropractic since 2008. I had associate docs in the clinic. So basically, my wife and I became empty nesters, and we moved back down here to where I grew up in Florida to get out of the cold of Kansas City. But I still get back up there quite often because I have a house in the Lake of the Ozarks, as you know, a lot of you Kansas Cityers know, between St. Louis and Kansas City. And then, anyway, I now teach this concept called the infinite banking concept, or as you refer to it, the money multiplier method, because it absolutely changed it. Okay, it completely changed my financial life. So now I teach others how to implement that concept. And I've been traveling around the country now. It's actually been almost 11 years since 2012.
Wow.
Well, it has been 11 years, March of 2012. And here we sit in March of 2023. And prior to the pandemic, I was speaking at 55 to 70 live events around the country. And then, as you know, the pandemic hits and everything goes to Zoom and virtual, right? So, kind of what
Yeah.
we're doing today. But now the live events are coming back. So we're on the road again, traveling around the country speaking. And I'm excited to be in Kansas City on the 25th to 27th of August. And I'll be sharing this concept live.
Well, thank you and welcome, my fellow Floridian. You're only a couple of hours away from me. I'm down in South Florida. So definitely, we have to make an opportunity to take this from the virtual world into the physical world real soon. I'm going to jump throw up on your screen now your PowerPoint. And so you can just put it into your presentation mode and then you can take it away. This is Brent Kessler.
All right, good. Let me make sure you got my screen here, Terrence. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
All right, and just let me ask you one question before I get started because I want to be very respectful of the time I have. I have 10:25 Eastern time. Tell me what my stop time is, and I'll plan accordingly.
So if you want to do a Q&A afterwards, because of course we'll have a conversation with you. So let's look at 11:15 Eastern time.
Got it. All right. Very good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you
All
for
right.
that. Okay. It's great to be here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm excited to share this concept with you. I'm going to be going over a lot of information here in the next 45 or 50 minutes. And I promise you, any information that I don't get to, I'll be able to share with you how you can watch the stuff that all the stuff that I don't cover. So, of course, as you know, so I'm Brent Kessler. The name of my company is called The Money Multiplier. You see my information there on the screen, our website, themoneymultiplier.com. And really, what I'm going to talk to you about is your money and your wealth. That's what my topic is going to be about. So, as Terrence mentioned, anyway, I basically back in 2006, I actually heard this information that I'm going to share with you. I was in a chiropractic conference when I heard this information and I looked at it and I heard it and I was like, man, that looks really, really good, but it just seems too good to be true, right? I'm sure you guys have seen things like that where you look at it and it looks good, but it seems too good to be true. Well, that was me back in 2006 and I heard this information. Somebody was speaking about it. And after I heard it, I kind of left. I went back to my normal chiropractic life and I kind of forgot all about it. Well, then guess what happens? I go to another conference about 2 years later, and about 10 or 12 of my colleagues that were at that previous conference with me are now at this new conference. Now, the only difference between them and me is they implemented the information that they heard. They took action where I did not. So anyway, they were telling me all about this thing called the infinite banking concept, how they were building their wealth, keeping their wealth. They were paying off their debt, their expenses, all by adding one step in their financial life. So they did not have to change their cash flow. They didn't have to work any harder. They didn't have to take any additional risk or lose control of their money. All they did was added one step in their financial life. And I thought to myself, there has to be something to this, because there's no way that 10 or 12 of my colleagues are lying to me, right? Maybe one or two, but not 10 or 12. So I went home and I came home and I told my wife, I said, honey, I said, we got to start implementing this concept in our life. And at that time, it was February of 2008. I found myself $984,711 in third-party debt. That's right. That's what I owed the third-party creditors. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. At the time I was living in Kansas, and you're thinking, well, how does a guy from Kansas get to be almost $1 million in debt, right? I know if you like maybe if you're from a place like California, that buys you a very small house, but in Kansas, it buys you a lot. Well, I had my student loans from chiropractic college that I owed. I had the house that I lived in Olathe, Kansas. I had my condo at the Lake of the Ozarks between St. Louis and Kansas City. And guess what? If you have a condo on the lake, guess what you have to have? You have to have a boat and a wave runner, don't you? That's right. You can't have a condo on the lake without a boat and a wave runner. I'm also an airplane pilot. Spent lots of times at Olathe Johnson County Executive Airport. And as an airplane pilot, you have to have your own airplane. So it didn't take me a lot to become almost $1 million in debt. Well, I was able to apply this concept that I'm going to share with you today. And I was able to pay that debt off in 39 months, 3 years and 3 months, all by adding one step in my financial life. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. Now, the concept that I'm going to go over with you is not something that I created. No. As a matter of fact, so there's a book out there, and I think you see it on your screen. It's called Becoming Your Own Banker. This is a book I would definitely recommend you add to your financial library. So the guy that wrote this book, his name is R. Nelson Nash. Now, R. Nelson Nash, he passed away actually just about 4 years ago this month in March of 2019 at the age of 87. This is a book that you definitely want to get a hold of. This book completely changed my financial life. Now, I'm not here to sell you a book. And yes, you can go on our website. You can order a book. You can go to Amazon or wherever you go, buy your books and get the book. I just want you to know where the information is coming from. And if you're like me and you have a little ADD going on and you don't like to read, it also has a couple hours of audio you can get with it as well, too. So again, that's a book you want to remember. Now, there's another book that I wrote a couple years ago with a colleague of mine named Chris Naugle called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. Now, a lot of you guys, especially if you are in the world of real estate, you have heard of Chris Naugle. Chris Naugle has had a couple shows on TV. He's had one on House Hunters, another one on HGTV called Risky Builders. And I would tell you, if you're not following Chris Naugle, I would definitely go to chrisnaugle.com and follow just what he does. But Chris and I wrote this book called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. If you guys want the free version of the ebook, all you do is go to our website, themoneymultiplier.com, or you can send me an email, brent@themoneymultiplier.com, and I'll send you that ebook. Now, just to be clear of what we're going to be talking about for the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about how to build your wealth, keep your wealth, create your wealth, all by adding one simple step in your financial life. And just to be clear of what we're going to be talking about, here we go. All right, so money is what we're going to be talking about. Now, there are going to be a couple homework assignments that I give you, and one is to go watch this video on YouTube. It's called The Backward Bicycle. It's about 8 minutes long. I'm not going to play it here just to save time, but after you go watch it and after you watch what I go over with you today, you will understand why I'm having you to go watch this video. And I'll just play a quick few seconds of it so you know that you're on the right video when you go to YouTube and click in The Backward Bicycle.
Destin, welcome back to Smarter Every Day. You've heard people say it's just like...
All right. So very good. Now, I want to warn you guys, the information that I'm going to go over with you about money and wealth, it's going to be a little outside of the box thinking, right? It's not what your parents taught you about money. It's not what your grandparents taught you. It's not what your friends, your colleagues, and your coworkers are doing. So I want you to keep an open mind as I go through this concept, because I'm going to challenge some of the things that you thought about money. So anyway, there's a quote by Will Rogers, and Will Rogers says this. He says, the problem in America isn't so much what people don't know. It's what people think they know that just ain't so. So a lot of the things that we've been taught about money may not actually be the truth. So keep an open mind as I go through this. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how your money flows. We're going to talk about the method to get all of your money back. So before I end, and again, my time is shortened, so I can't go over everything that I have in my deck, but I'm going to give you, some good juice. I promise you the juice should be worth the squeeze. We're going to talk about the method to get all of your money back for all the purchases you make. Before I end, you're going to see how you're going to get every dollar back for every car you're going to buy, drive, or own for the rest of your life. So you're thinking, well, Brent, tell me, what does that mean? How do I get money back for the cars that I buy? Well, look, I don't even know you guys, okay? But I know how you buy cars. You buy cars one of three ways. You either pay cash for the car, you bank finance the car, or you lease the car, right? Because I know you guys didn't steal the car, because all of you look like honest people. Well, I don't know. Maybe a couple of you look a little shady, but most of you look pretty honest, right? So the thing you had to do is you had to give your money to the car dealer. The car dealer gave you the car. So he's got the money, you got the car, transaction is over. Everybody goes home happy. Well, by adding one step in your financial life, I'm going to show you how not only you can buy the car the same way you would normally do it. Give the car dealer the money, they give you the car. So he's got the money, you got the car. But now by adding one simple step, you can get all the money back for that car. So, and if you can get the money back for the car, guess what else you can get it back for? Anything at all. Anything at all, you can now recapture that money and keep that money in your family. All right. We'll talk about the mysteries, the machine. Pretty soon, I'm going to show you what is that machine we're going to use to build our wealth, the mission, the marathon. This is not a sprint, not a get-rich-quick deal. This is just you adding one step in your financial life. Remember, I don't want you to change anything you're doing. Continue to do what you're doing in your financial life, but let's just add another step. All right, the millionaire and the movement. Okay. There's 3 calculators here on the screen, okay? I know it's early on a Saturday morning, and the last thing you guys want to do is look at math and look at numbers, but I'm going to make it pretty easy to follow. I'm going to make believe that I am your banker at your local bank, wherever you are. I mean, I'm here at Daytona Beach. You know, Terrence is in South Florida, probably around Miami somewhere. I saw someone come on from, I saw as all you guys were clicking on, I saw there was Izzy from Overland Park, Kansas, close to my old stomping grounds, right? No matter where you are, you guys probably have a checking or a savings account, and it's at that bank. Okay, we'll call it the Bank of Florida, the Bank of Texas, the Bank of Kansas. And I'm going to assume that you have $25,000 in your bank. And I'm going to be your banker. So we'll call me Banker Brent. All right. So I'm going to say that you have $25,000 in your bank, and that bank is paying you 4% interest on the money. Now, I know they're not, right? The bank's not paying you 4% interest on the money in your checking account, but I'm going to make believe we found a really, really good bank, and that bank is paying you 4% interest. Now, you're in the market to buy a car, and let's just call it a $25,000 car, right? Because you guys all on this call have bought vehicles before, and you probably bought more than one, and you're going to continue to buy vehicles for you and your family for the rest of your life. That's just what we do, right? We go through life and we buy and sell cars, right? So who on here is still driving the very first car they ever bought? Probably none of you, unless you're 16, 17, or 18, but most of you have bought several cars, and you're going to continue to buy several more for you and your family. So I'm going to tell you to leave this $25,000 in the bank over on the right-hand side of your screen earning 4%. And the thing you do is you come into the bank and you say, Brent, I want to go buy a car for $25,000 and take my money out. And I say, no. You do not want to take your $25,000 out of the bank earning 4%. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you a loan for $25,000, and I'm going to charge you 6% interest. And over the same equal time period. Now, so I want you to think, if you go borrow money to buy a car, a $25,000 car, how long are you normally going to finance that car for? Some of you say 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Well, let's just use 5 years or 60 months. It doesn't matter if it's 4 years, 48 months, 6 years, 72 months. Okay, I just want you to get the concept here. So the thing that you do is you come in the bank and you say, Brent, I want to take the $25,000 out earning 4%. I want to go pay cash for the car. And I say, no. You want to keep that $25,000 in the bank earning 4%. I'm going to make you a loan of $25,000, and I'm going to charge you 6% interest. And over the same equal time period, in this case, 5 years or 60 months, our bank will pay you more money on the 4% that you're earning than you will pay on the 6% that you're borrowing. Now, is that a true statement? No, you're thinking, well, how can that be? If I earn 4 and paid 6, I'm losing 2. Well, that's the way that I thought when I saw this the first time in 2006. When I was sitting in your chair watching the information, I said, there's no way. I can't make money if I earn 4 and pay 6. Well, the banker told you the truth, and let's walk through that. If you go get a car loan for $25,000 at 6% interest for 5 years, your monthly payment is $483.32 a month. So at the end of 5 years, you've actually paid almost $29,000 for that car, $25,000 in principal and $4,000 in interest. All right, you all with me so far? Now, that same money I told you to leave in the bank earning 4% over the same equal time period, 5 years or 60 months, you actually have $30,000 $525. Now, here's my question. Is the number on the right, the number that totals $30,525, is that a larger number than $28,999? Or do you do math differently wherever you live than I do in Florida? That's right, it's a bigger number. How can that be? How can you have more money earning 4% at the same time you're paying 6%? Well, here's how. Because the car payment, the car balance is going down every month, right? It's on a decreasing balance. The money I told you to leave in the account goes up. So one goes up and the other one goes down. But see, that's not the way our minds are programmed to think. We think if we earn 4 and pay 6, that we lose 2. Well, as you can see, that's surely not the case. So all I wanted to do with this little exercise is prove to you that you can make money all day long earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6. Now, why is that important? The reason that is important is because the machine that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth. Are you ready for it? Here it comes. And it's going to surprise a lot of you when I show it to you. The machine that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth is a whole life insurance policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Now, before you hit mute or you exit out of the screen and go do something else like walk the dog, baby, or watch college basketball today, I know I just said that scary word, life insurance. And here's what you're thinking. You're thinking, what, Brent? I wish you could see your eyes right now. I wish all of you could see your faces, because here's what you're thinking. You're thinking, Brent, why would I ever want to use a whole life insurance policy to build, keep, and create wealth? Right? Now, I know you might be thinking of a lot of different answers, but you're thinking, it doesn't make sense. Why would I do it? Well, the reason that we're doing it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is because this is the number one thing the super wealthy do. This is what the rich do. As a matter of fact, the number one purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. Conventional banks own more in whole life insurance than all of their land and their buildings combined. As a matter of fact, since 2013, conventional banks have quadrupled the amount of whole life insurance they've purchased. Now, why are they buying so much life insurance? Is it because they're stupid, or they know something the rest of us don't know? That's right. They know something the rest of us don't know. So all we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy have been doing for over 200 years. That's right, over 200 years. So this concept is not brand new. It's not something that just came out. It's not on trial. It's not being tested. It's been around for over 200 years. Go research the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Stanleys, the Barclays. Go see how they built, kept, and created wealth. Go see how Walt Disney started Walt Disneyland. Go see how Ray Kroc funded McDonald's, how McDonald's got started. Go see how Pampered Chef got started before Warren Buffett before Warren Buffett purchased Pampered Chef for $1.5 billion. This concept has been around for over 200 years. Now, let me warn you, this is not any typical whole life insurance policy. No. This is not the insurance policy that you can go and buy from your brother-in-law that sells life insurance, right? We all have a brother-in-law that sells life insurance. No, this is not that policy. This is a specifically designed, specially engineered whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends, that gives you high cash value immediately. And the definition of high cash value immediately is within 30 days. All right. Now, how can you check out to make sure I'm telling you the truth that banks are the number one purchasers of whole life insurance? Go Google something called BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. You'll see the 100 pages that come up on how much life insurance conventional banks actually own. Now, remember we just said, I showed you the example. Can we make money earning 4 while paying 6? Absolutely we can. Now, why is that important? Why did I go through that exercise with you? Here's why. because inside of your policy, the growth rate is 4% and greater with the policy dividends. Now, that's internal growth rate of the policy. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think that growth in the policy, so that means anytime you put money into a policy, and again, remember, you choose the amount of money you want to put in the policy. You can put any amount you want. You choose the amount. I will never tell you. I have over 7,000 clients I work with in every state of the country. I will never tell you how much money to put in the policy. You decide the amount that you want to put in. All right. Inside that policy, the growth is 4% plus dividends. So it's over 4%. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that's taxable growth or is it tax-free growth? Yes, it's tax-free growth. And what is our largest eroder of wealth? Taxes. All right. So that's where the 4% comes in. Why is the 6% important? The 6% is important because the 6% is the highest interest rate the insurance company is going to charge you to take a policy loan. So can we make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6? Yes. All right. So I just showed you the vehicle that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth. And why are we going to use this vehicle? Because it's what the wealthy use. It's what the rich use. There's no better vehicle on this planet that has these features and benefits that works this way to build wealth. And if you know of another one, please let me know, because I've been looking for 17 years. From 2006 until now, 2023, I've been looking and nobody has been able to show me a better vehicle, but maybe you have it. All right. Now, the definition of money is what? What is the definition of money? All money is a means of exchange, is it not? All we do is exchange money all day long for products and services. We exchange food for money, money for food, car for money, money for car, house for money, money for house. That's the definition. Now, who believes in compound interest? Most all of you guys believe in compound interest. You've heard compound interest is a great thing. Well, let's talk about compound interest. The only way compound interest works is your product or your money has to sit still. So I'm holding a $20 bill in my hand. If I want that $20 bill to compound, what do? I take it down, I put it in the bank, and it has to sit there. It has to sit still in order to compound. If I go back and get it out, it's no longer compounding. Well, motion is a natural law of God, is it not? Everything's in motion. I'm here talking. My hands are moving. My lips are moving. I took my dog for a walk this morning. I ate breakfast. Pretty soon, the food's going to be in motion. How many of you would want to eat fish out of a stagnant pond? Nobody. How many of you went to the grocery store last week, went to the fresh produce section, and purchased fresh produce that you do not intend on eating? Nobody. Because if you don't eat the produce, what happens? It rots and it spoils. So everything is about motion, is it not? But compounding stops the motion. Compounding stops the motion. But we've all been told compound interest is a great thing. Well, let me ask you this. Name me one business in the world that actually uses compound interest. You guys think of different businesses. The one you always tell me that's common is banks. Banks use compound interest. Well, let's talk about that. Do banks really use compound interest? No, they pay you compound interest and they charge you compound interest, but they don't use it themselves. Here's what I mean by that. If I took this $20 bill, I highlighted it in yellow and I put my initials on it, and I took it down and I put it into the bank, does the bank teller take my $20 bill? Do they take it to the back room? And there's a little box there that says Brent Kessler, and that's where they put it until I come back? No. As a matter of fact, if I go back and get this $20 bill in a week, are they going to give me the same bill? No. In an hour? In 10 minutes? No. Why? Because they're moving it. So banks aren't compounding money. They're not letting money sit. How much money does a grocery store make if groceries are compounding on the shelf just sitting? How much does a car dealer make if cars aren't moving off the lot? How much does the hotel make if nobody's checking in or checking out? Does the airplane All right, so how much does the airlines make if nobody's flying? Zero. Not one business in the world actually uses compound interest. But isn't it strange? All the major institutions, banks, Wall Street, mutual funds, insurance companies, they all tell us to park our money with them and leave it sit still, but they don't do it themselves. Isn't that a little strange? A lot of you are doing that with your 401k and IRA. You're putting money in a 401k and IRA that has absolutely no guarantee, and you're letting your money sit and hoping to use money later that's not guaranteed. I'm not going to get into that on this discussion, but I explain more where I'll show you how you can watch more. So let's move on. Let's talk about the next thing that I'm going to show you. And now I know I'm skipping through some of this, and it's just because of time. All right. I'm going to show you now how to get all the money back on all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life, right? So I've already given you resources. I've given you the book, Becoming Your Own Banker. I've given you the book that Chris and I wrote, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. Again, go to our website, themoneymultiplier.com, or send me an email, brent@themoneymultiplier.com. I'll send you the ebook. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get all the money back for all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. All right? Now, let's talk about the machine again. What is the machine that we're going to use to build our wealth? Yes, it's a whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. So you have to start this policy. Now, I don't care what amount you start it with. In this example, we're going to say this person puts in $10,000 a year in his policy and he pays it for 7 years. Don't get hung up on the numbers. I just want you to get the concept. If that's too big for you, then take a zero off. If it's too small for you, add a zero. It's the concept. It's not about the number. So premiums are payments that we put into the policy. But remember earlier when I said, when you put premium into this policy, you're able to use the cash value immediately. And my definition of immediately is within $30. I'm sorry, within 30 days. I got dollars on the mind, right? So even though the premium is a payment, if you're putting the money into an account that you control and have almost instant access within 30 days of that money, is that really treated like a payment or a deposit? That's right, a deposit. And what word do you like better, payment or deposit? Yes, you said deposit. And have you ever made too many deposits in your bank account? Never. All right. So age and death benefit do not matter. Yes, it's a policy. Yes, you have a death benefit, but we're not meeting today to talk about death benefit. We're meeting to talk about the cash. As long as I solve your need for finance and cash, you'll have more death benefit than you can ever imagine. Now, let me blow this up a little bit. And again, I know it's early on Saturday and there's a lot of numbers on the screen. I'm going to make it easy to follow. On the left, all it is time. Year 1 to 8, year 9 to 13. If you notice, the next column is age and the last column is death benefit, and those are grayed out because you don't have to worry about age or death benefit. We're talking about cash on the policy, okay? The cash value is what we're talking about. So now you have your policy premium deposit. And in this example, this person is going to put in $10,000 a year into the policy, and he's going to go buy a car at the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th year, okay, for $25,000. Now, in real life, I would never, ever have you wait to the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th year to use the cash in your policy. I want you to start using the money immediately. See this cash value up here on year 1? I want you to use that immediately. And remember what the definition of immediately is: within 30 days. Just know this: the sooner you use the cash value, and if you play honest banker with yourself, the bigger the numbers are going to be. But in this example, we're going to put in $10,000 a year, and we're going to go buy that car at the end of the third year, beginning of the fourth year for $25,000. So we're going to borrow money out of our own banking system. Now, if you borrow money to buy a car from a conventional bank, and I'm sure many of you have done that, you've went to a bank to borrow money to buy a car. If you borrow money from a bank, are you expected to pay them back with interest? Absolutely you are, because if you don't, they'll come and pick up the car. And we pay them back with interest. It's expected. We don't ever question it, and we don't ever skip a beat on the payments, right? So, do you think it's a good idea if you borrow from yourself that you pay yourself back with interest? Absolutely it is. But do you ever do it? No, you don't ever do it. I don't even know you. And I know you never pay yourself back when you borrow your own money, much less do you pay yourself back with interest. You go get money out of your checking account, your savings account, wherever it is. You go buy the crap that you want, and you never have a system to pay yourself back. Going forward, you have to start doing that. You have to treat your money the same way you treat a bank's money, because if you don't, you're saying your money is not as valuable as the bank's money. So just treat your money the same way. So in this example, we're going to borrow $25,000 to go buy the car, and we're going to pay ourselves back with interest over 5 years. So over 5 years, we're going to pay back for that car a total of $30,000. We're going to borrow 25, and we're going to pay back a total of 30. We're going to pay $500 a month or $6,000 a year for 5 years. Okay? Just like you would do at a bank. That's all. The only difference is you're borrowing from your money and not the bank's money. You're keeping all that money in the family now. So let's look and see what we did after 8 years. Now, before I do that, let me just go back and mention what I'm going to, okay, the thing I'm doing here is I'm going to show you how to get all the money back for all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own. So I want to ask you this question. How long have you been driving? Let's just say just your age 50. And you've probably been driving since you were 16. So that means you've been driving for 35 years approximately. Well, that very first car that you started driving, say 35 years ago, is that a car you still have today? No. You probably don't have your second car, your third car, and you're going to continue to go through life and buy and sell cars, just like we do. Our family does that. Your wife's going to do it. Your husband's going to do it. Your children, your grandchildren, future generation. I want you to think of all the cars that run through your family. Well, out of all the cars you've ever bought, driven, and owned up to this point in your life, how much of the money do you have today? The answer is zero. So if I do nothing else but show you how to get part or all of the money back for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life, has it been a pretty good day? I would think so. All right. Back to the screen. Let's look and see what we did in 8 years. We put in 10 times 7 is 70. We paid back 6 times 5 is 30. So in 8 years, we put in $100,000. But we took out $25,000 to buy the car. So if we put in 100 and took out 25, how much more did we put in than we took out? That's right. 100 minus 25 is 75,000. Well, how much cash do we have in our policy? Right there on the screen, cash value available, year 8, 73,226. So what that means is your net injection was 75,000. You're sitting here with 73,226. If you take 73,226 and enter that in your calculator, here, I'll do it with you. 73,226 divided into 75,000. That means you just got back over 97 cents, 97% of every dollar for that first car that you purchased. Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I'm doing here? No, man. I just bought a life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy the car. You're going to buy the car anyway. All I did is I added one step in my financial life. So how would you like to have 97 cents back of every dollar for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own? Well, it gets better because that car wears out. Or maybe you have a spouse and your spouse has been walking for 5 years and they're tired of walking and they want a car. Now I want you to look at year 9 to 13. That's all I want you to look at is year 9 to 13. Well, we go buy another $25,000 car. Where does that $25,000 come from? It comes from your cash value of $73,226. Now, in this case, I'm no longer going to pay premium into the policy. In real life, you wouldn't want to do that, but I want to isolate the car loan so I can show you the power of how this works. So now we're going to pay, okay, so now we're going to go buy that $25,000 car in the 9th year. We're going to pay ourselves back just like we did before, $500 a month, $6,000 a year for a total of 5 years, so a total of $30,000. So in year 9 to 13, what did we do? We took out 25, paid back 30. Took out 25, paid back 30. So if we did that, if we took out 25, paid back 30, how much more did we put back than we took out? That's right, $5,000. $5,000 is your true net injection. Now, how much cash do we have in the policy? Go ahead and look at it on year 13. That's right, $95,000 and some change. So from year 8 to year 13, your cash in your policy grew from 73 to 95. That is a $22,000 growth with a $5,000 net injection. How do you like buying cars my way? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I just did? No, man. All I did is I bought a stupid ass life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy the cars. You're going to buy the cars anyway. Now, I know what you're thinking right there. You're thinking, Brent, that wasn't very nice. Why did you use the word ass? Well, because I can see all of you and 3 of you are texting. There's someone burping the baby. Somebody else is on the phone talking and a couple of you are dozing off. So now, and since I used the word ass, that brought you right back to the screen and now you're paying attention to me again. I don't know what it is. It's something about the word ass that brings your attention right back to the screen. So thanks for being back with me. Now watch this. Watch what happened in 13 years. Now, how fast does 13 years go in your life? I will tell you, I'm 55. It seems like just yesterday I was 42. 13 years goes by fast, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Let's watch, let's look and see what we did in 13 years. Well, in year 1 to 7, we put in 10 times 7 is 70. Then we paid back 6 times 5 is 30. So in the first 8 years, we put in 100,000. And then in year 9 to 13, we put in 6 times 5 is 30. So in 13 years, we put in $130,000. Are you with me? But we took out to buy 2 cars. We took out $25,000 in the first year, for the first car, and we took out $25,000 for the second car. So we put in 130, took out 50. Put in 130, took out 50. So how much more did we put in than we took out? 130 minus 50 is 80. So our true net injection is $80,000. Well, look at the cash value on year 13. How much do we have? That's right, $95,000. Now, if that's true, which it is, how much did those cars really cost you to buy, drive, and own? Well, if you put in 130, took out 50, your net injection is 80, and now you've got 95,000. Well, in my simple mind, I've got 15,000 more than my net injection. And not only do you have 15,000 more than your net injection, but guess what else you have? You have 2 cars sitting on the driveway that you've owned, driven, and used. You can continue to drive them, own them, use them, donate them, give them away, whatever you want. So, did I just show you how to get all the money back on all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life? Because if you've got 95 and your net injection is 80, plus you got the 2 cars, don't you have more money than your net injection plus the cars? So the cars essentially cost you nothing? Absolutely. That's the way I think about it. And that's probably the way you're looking at it. Now, I can't sit here and tell you the cars cost you nothing to drive because you had to start this method. You had to start the process. You had to start the concept, right? So, but that's okay. I want you to go look at year 1. See, in the first year, when you put in 10,000, all 10,000 was not available, was it? But that's all right, because are you in this for the short term or the long term? Yes, the long term. However, we tend to get hung up in short-term thinking. Have you ever read a book by, it's a book called A Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren? In that book, Rick Warren says, life is like a marathon. It doesn't matter where you start. It only matters how you finish. This is the game of life. So, did I just show you how to get all the money back for all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own? Now, I use this as an example of a car, a $25,000 car. But does it have to be a $25,000 car? No. Could it be a $50,000 car? And let's say you bought a $50,000 car, and instead of you paying $500 a month back to yourself or $6,000 a year, you're paying back $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. What would happen to the numbers? They would be bigger. What if mama and daddy had a $50,000 car? What would happen to the numbers? They would be larger. So I show this as an example as a car because I talk at all kind of conferences all around the country. And the one thing the one thing almost all the attendees have in common is that you understand cars. I bet everybody on this call has either owned a car, driven a car, or ridden in a car. So you understand cars. But how about if this wasn't a car? What if it was a bicycle? What if it was a boat? What if it was a big screen TV, a piano, a chandelier? What if it was a golf cart? What if it was golf clubs? What if it was a computer? What if it was a house? What if it was a trip, a vacation? What about if it was your food, your travel, your entertainment? What if it was taxes? Could you get all the money back for all the taxes that you pay? What if it was for charitable giving? Could you give to charity and get all your money back? Oh, Brent, that ain't right. God doesn't want me to get my charitable giving back. Well, let me just tell you, if God did not want you to get the money back, you give to charity, he would not have me telling you how to get it back, and he would not have you participating as an audience member learning how to get it back. Now, Woody, do you know any poor people adding wings onto any churches? Neither do I. It doesn't matter what it is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are now recycling and recapturing all of the money that goes out to other people. We're turning every liability into an asset, every depreciating asset into an appreciating asset. Have you ever heard of a guy named Robert Kiyosaki? Robert Kiyosaki is famous for a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He also wrote a book called Second Chance. This is exactly what Robert Kiyosaki talked about in that book. But when you read it, you didn't understand it. It didn't make sense. You went right past it and didn't understand what it meant. Have you ever heard of a guy named Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins wrote a book called Master the Money Game. In chapter 5.4 of that Tony Robbins book, this is exactly what he talks about. But again, they make it too complicated. You read it, you didn't understand it, you just read the book, put it aside, never looked at it anymore. This is exactly what they're talking about. So this is what we're doing. I just make it very simple and easy for you to follow, and I coach you on how to do this, which with any number that you want. If you don't like the $10,000 number a year, then put in $1,000 a year, put in $200 a month, put in $100,000 a year, whatever number that you decide to start your banking policy for. There are 3 rules. Rule number 1 is pay yourself first. You see that under policy premium deposit? Pay yourself first. Treat your money the same way you treat a bank's money. Oh, well, actually, that's pay yourself. Okay, that's rule number 2. Pay yourself with interest. Pay yourself with interest is treat your money the same way you treat a bank's money. When you borrow from a bank, you pay them back with interest. When you borrow from yourself, you should pay yourself back with interest. If you don't do that, you're saying your money is not as valuable as the bank's money. Go back to rule number 1 for a minute. Pay yourself first. You guys have all heard that term. I don't even know you, and I know you don't do that. See, here's what you do. Every time you get money in, whether it's active money, passive income, investment income, you can get a check in the mail from grandma for your birthday. You put that money into somebody else's bank, and guess what you do with it? You pay everybody else first. You pay the car people, the house people, the student loans, food, travel, entertainment, taxes, charitable giving. You pay for Bobby's soccer practice and Susie's piano lessons, and you hope there's money left over for you. You have to pay yourself first and then pay other people. So rule number 1, pay yourself first. Rule number 2, pay yourself with interest. And rule number 3, recycle and recapture all of the money that you're sending out to others. Keep that money in your family. When you do this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this makes a drastic improvement in your financial life. If you don't believe me, go out and just Google my name, Brent Kessler, Kessler with 1 S. Go Google Chris Naugle's name. Go to our website, themoneymultiplier.com. Look at the success stories, the plan designs, the case studies, the testimonials. Over 7,000 clients in every state of the country. And see what they say about this. Don't take my word for it. Go listen to what they say. There's a guy named Joel Bauer. Joel Bauer, B-A-U-E-R. Joel Bauer taught me this. He says, people live vicariously through the words and the actions of others. It's not what I tell you about myself. It's what other people tell you about me. So go listen to those success stories and testimonials. 3 rules. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself with interest. Recycle and recapture your money. If this works for a car, what else does it work for? Here's 2 other resources that I'm adding to your library now. All right. So this makes 4. There's the book called Second Chance by Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, Money Master the Game. Chapter 5.4 of that Tony Robbins book is where he goes through this concept I just explained to you. Now, I'm about to wrap it up here. I'm not going to go through this thing called the Money Multiplier Map, but I'm going to show you in just a minute how to go watch it. You're probably thinking, Brent, this looks pretty cool. What's the catch? How do we pay you? How do you get paid to help us do this? Well, you're never going to write me a check for a dime. You're never going to write my company, the Money Multiplier, a check for a dime. You see, the way that I get paid is one way only. I get paid the same way your car insurance guy or gal gets paid. For example, if you go to John Smith, the Allstate man, to buy car insurance, that check you write, do you write it to John Smith? No, you write it to Allstate, and Allstate pays John Smith a commission. So I get paid a commission on the policy that you start. I am a licensed producer in every state of the country, have a team of producers on our team on the Money Multiplier. So you don't ever pay me a dime. The insurance company decides the commission to pay us based on this policy. Just like when you call the car insurance guy, you don't know what the commission is the car insurance guy gets paid on your car insurance that you buy. The same thing with this. The insurance company pays the commission. So that's how we get paid. You never write a check to us. There's no hidden charges, extra costs, additional fees. You only decide the amount that you want to put in your policy. And when you're working with us, we design these policy tools, the one I just showed you and the one that I'm not going to have time to show you, but it's called the Money Multiplier Map. All right, let me fast forward. I'm not real good with technology, so I'm just skipping through a button at a time. You're probably thinking, who does this? And why haven't I heard about it before? Well, go look at this article, November 16th, 2016. Jim Harbaugh, the University of Michigan, cash value life insurance makes him one of top paid football college coaches. Why? Because they can pay Jim Harbaugh his salary through a life insurance policy. It's a win-win for the university and for the coach, and they can recycle and recapture and get all of the money back. And if you know anything about college football, until the last couple of years, it was a good thing they were getting their money back on this guy because he wasn't winning the games he was supposed to. Walt Disney World. Walt Disney failed in traditional means of financing, which means he went to a bank and he had this idea of Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse, and they said, nope, we're not going to lend you money. So he had to borrow from his own insurance policy. He had to put his policy up for collateral, borrow from his policy, and provide his own financing to start Disneyland. Who knows if Disneyland would ever be here if it wasn't for his life policy? Ray Kroc with McDonald's, the same thing. He had to use his policy dollars to cover salaries of key employees, and he also used some of it to start that advertising campaign we all know as Ronald McDonald. Have you guys seen Ronald McDonald lately? Where's he at? A lady named Doris Christopher. she borrowed $3,000 in her Chicago home from her policy to start this business called Pampered Chef, which she later sold to Warren Buffett for 1.5 billion with a B dollars. Who knows if it would have ever started without her being able to borrow. There you go. Joe Biden. This is an article that's now 9 years old. Joe Biden has no stocks, bonds, or savings accounts. He has, if you read there, he has a total of 6 life insurance policies, 6 life insurance policies, and who knows how many he has now. I personally have 24. 91% of my clients that have been with me a year or longer have more than one. Stanford University, J.C. Penney, Foster Farm, it goes on and on. Now that you know this, everybody should do it, because if you don't do it, not only are you stealing from your children, your grandchildren, and but future generations to come, because you're letting money leave the family. You need to keep money in the family. Look, there's us and the wealthy. Us and the wealthy. We all have access to the same financial tools, do we not? The only difference between us and them is they use the tools differently. Now that I know how to use the tools, I just use the tools they've been using for over 200 years, and I'm building my wealth right along with them. Here's what Warren Buffett said, and I think about this quote every day. Warren Buffett said, if poor people would just do what rich people do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. How much sense does that make? We're only going to imitate what the wealthy do. All right, let me skip through this. And last thing, why are we doing this? There's probably a lot of reasons that we're doing this, but here's one.
I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had.
Okay, so if this is something that you think you want to do or even learn more about, again, remember, if you send me an email, brent@themoneymultiplier.com, or go to my website there that you see, www.themoneymultiplier.com, you can get the ebook. So take a picture of this screen. That's how to contact us. All right. Don't go to the schedule calendar, though, where it says Go Once Hub. I've got that closed out. But in order to view the full entire presentation, just go to the website, themoneymultiplier.com. And so there'll be some guidance back there. It'll say watch presentation, ebook, all of that. Our website just changed a couple of weeks ago. So, but just go to the website and you'll just, again, all right, there'll be links to how to watch the presentation and how to get the ebook. And if this is something that you want more information on, or you just have questions, go ahead and so like text me or email me and we'll schedule a time and I'll go through and answer questions. But again, go watch the full presentation because I didn't have time to go through it all. It's 90 plus minutes, and go watch that. And then you'll even get more of the juice other than what I just gave you today. So I appreciate being on. I'm happy to be here to serve you all. And I will throw it back to you, Terrence and Brenda.
All right, let's give it up for Brent Kessler, helping you with your money and your wealth. Great presentation, Brent. You did a fantastic job. I loved your energy throughout the presentation, and I love how you really added the KISS formula to the TMM method. You kept it simple, Brent, so that we could follow through, and you gave some real life explanations. And you know, I've bought maybe 4 cars over my life, and so now I think there's about $1.6 million I need to go back and recoup from all of that. So thank you for sharing that method with us. And you guys, if you are watching, what did you get out of this? We want to hear your comments. So you got the ticker going across the screen. If this information was helpful for you, go ahead and put that information in the comments. We had some comments throughout your presentation. Let's see if we can pull one back up. I really love how you said, and Brenda captured it. She said that you treat your money just like the bank treats your money. I'm like, that is so powerful that that was worthy of saying again. Treat your money just like the bank treats your money. And Izzy agreed with what you were saying. She definitely was taking copious notes, and she was putting out copious notes as she said that I agree that this is a great vehicle for how the US currency was originally set up to build wealth with utilizing all of the loopholes. So, Brent, I know you share this with thousands of people all across the country. What's been some of the feedback you've gotten from people who have heard this for the first time?
Yeah, no, yeah, again, great question. And so I'll tell you what happens is, so like if I'm on the room or okay, so like on a Zoom call or a go-to meeting or a live presentation. So like there's some people that say, oh my gosh, how come I've never heard this before? So like all that information has been there. I knew there had to be something out there that was a little different, but I've never heard this. I've never heard about it. It was never explained like this. And then there's other people that'll look at it and say, I don't know about that. It looks a little sketchy. It might be too good to be true. That was me in 2006. Remember, it took me 2 years to get started because I didn't believe it. I thought there had to be a catch. I thought it was too good to be true, right? And then there's other people that are like, my gosh, I got to get started right now. It totally makes sense. Yes, I've gone and I've read about the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. I know how much, okay, so like all of these conventional banks, and they're constantly dumping money into whole life policies. This is what the rich do. This is what the wealthy do. But see, this is outside of the box thinking. And most of us just, I don't know. The thing is that the majority of us don't want to think outside of the box. The thing we want to do is we want to stay comfortable. We want to stay in our comfort zone. We want to do what our parents tell us to do, our grandparents. We want to do what our friends, our colleagues, and our coworkers are doing.
We think we need to punch the clock.
Right, exactly. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be uncomfortable. I tell my kids all the time, I say, watch what the masses of people are doing and you go do the opposite, right? Don't follow the masses, but don't take my word for it. This is not something that it's like that, okay, I don't know about this, so I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if I want to start. Even if you wanted to start a policy, even today, let's say you were ready to go, you're fired up. The thing is that you can't even start this for 4, 6, or 8 weeks because you have to get approved for the policy. You have to qualify. So in the meantime, go do all your research. I can give you, and again, on our website, there's tons of like research. I'll just throw a couple out to you. Go to chrisnoggle.com. Go to the Banking Bros, BROS, thebankingbros.com. Right. There's 2 guys, Jonah and Jeremiah. Watch what they do. They've been on my team for years. Go to a guy. His name is Burr, Devin Burr. Follow him on TikTok, Instagram. He goes by Mr. Burr, MR_BRRRR. So like Devin Burr lives in Phoenix, Arizona. He shows you how he gets all the money back for all the real estate purchases. He's a real estate investor. He's recycling all of his money and buying real estate. So don't take my word for it. Go to our website. We have over 70 plus videos on the website of how this works. So again, go look at the success stories, the testimonials, the case studies, the plan designs. I'll tell you guys, the thing I love most about my job, more than anything else, the thing I love most about my job is nobody's ever mad at me. My clients never get mad at me because people don't get mad at you when you're helping them build, keep, and create wealth. And if any of my clients out there are mad at me, they're keeping it a secret. They haven't told me about it yet, right? So that's what I love most, is you're truly helping people. You are helping people to break the bonds of financial slavery that they didn't even realize they're in and start taking control of their own money and keeping that money in their family. And when you do that, that drastically changes your financial life. So I'm going to challenge all of your listeners, all right? Even if you don't want to work with me, Brent Kessler at the Money Multiplier, go research this and find somebody and start implementing this concept in your life. It is a game changer.
Well, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your experience. And thank you for sharing all of that. So many times people want to keep all of these nuggets to themselves.
Oh, well, hey, Brenda, that's a great point. Because if you think about it, so like the wealthy, okay, all the wealthy people. So anyway, are they really sitting down with you and talking to you about how they've grown, kept, and built their wealth? No, they really don't tell you, do they? They do keep that internally into themselves. But now I know how they do it, and I'm out there throwing up over everybody, telling you how to do it and showing you exactly what they've done. And I'm giving you all of the research and the documentation behind it so you can go check it out yourself, because everybody needs to know this, especially in a day like today where you're seeing banks are collapsing. I'm telling you guys, go watch and follow our stuff that we've been talking about for the last couple years. We've been talking about this time coming, about the banks, and you're going to see more. There's a couple or few right now, but keep your ears to the ground over the next several months, a year, 2 years down the road, and watch what happens. Watch what happens to some of these financial institutions. That's why there's no better place on this planet that has these features and benefits than a whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends, because insurance companies cannot do what banks do. See, banks can loan $8, $10, or $12 for every dollar they have on hand. It's called fractional reserve banking. If everybody made a run to the bank today to get their money, you would get 7 or 8 cents out of every dollar. They physically do not have the money that they have out there. They could not give it to you. A life insurance company cannot do that. They go something by what we call Austrian economics. $1 has to protect $1. So whenever you knock on the door just to get your money, that money has to be there. You're first in line. You own the contract. You own the contract. So the insurance company has to give you the money before they give it to anyone else. Austrian economics, big difference.
Wow. Wow. Well,
I
they're going to
love
see
it.
you in person in Kansas City, so they get to meet you August 25th through the 27th.
Yeah.
Come on out. It's going to be at the Hilton by the airport. Come meet him. Come see what he's got. Come experience his wisdom. Thank you so much, Brent, for your session. You will be on next month as well. So come back and see us in April to hear more about it. And thank you again, Brent. We really appreciate your time and everything you brought to us today.
All right. Well, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Terrence, for having me. I greatly appreciate you allowing me the time to share this message, and I'm here to serve you and all of your listeners. So anything I can do to help, please reach out.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Make sure you guys reach out to Brent. There's his email on the screen, Brent Kessler at themoneymultiplier.com, or you can just go to the website, themoneymultiplier.com, where you can get more information, or you can come on over to us at comechangeyourlife.com. We'll have some information up there on how you can connect to this presentation all over again if there's some things that you missed in the presentation, or if you just want to watch it again, because this is information that you definitely want to implement into your portfolio as you are looking to become the best version of yourself with your finances. So we thank Brent for that. We appreciate you. And this, you only get this by being here with the BTBY Presents Mastermind series that we have each and every month. So you guys, if you are digging the information, if you are picking up what we are putting down, then we definitely want you to be interactive with us. We want you to put your comments in there, letting us know how this is helping you, where you're watching us from, and to also invite some friends into the BTBY Mastermind series. So we're going to keep it moving. We're going to move on to our next speaker, Brenda, but that was some great information for Brent, wasn't it?
Man, it was. And who'd have thought finances and insurance could be interesting? He presented it in a way that was very interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the challenge, especially for someone like me who doesn't like numbers, who doesn't like calculators. I have never seen a calculator that I like, but to be able to present it in that KISS method where he kept it simple, he gave explanations, and he gave examples that you could really hone in on. That great presentation. So definitely we want Brent to get some more feedback, so email him, go to his website, Stick and Stay, come back next month. He'll give a little bit more about that. So thanks again to the Money Multiplier for sharing that information with us today. Moving on to our next speaker here at BTBY Presents, we've got we've got the epitome of great things come in small packages. Now, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about this next speaker that's coming up because she is a powerhouse in her own right. She's a veteran with over 30 years of service to our military. So thank you for your service. She has also worked at the Missouri Department of Labor's Workforce Development Program. She has experience in human resources, operational management, leadership development, and that's propelled her to start her own consulting business. Now, who are we talking about? We are talking about none other than Jen Wade from Jen Wade Consulting. And she is focused on helping others, y'all, not just helping herself, but helping others, helping leaders to build a participating, all encompassing workplace culture of equality and engagement. She accentuates the commitment to the communication process of employee awareness, a safe workforce environment built on trust and clarity. And her target strategy is to help organizations build their strength and to work with individuals to build strong habits and strong bonds, because with strong habits and strong bonds become strong organizations with a strong culture. So she's going to share some great information with you this morning. So let's bring her up to the stage. Miss Jen Wade. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Oh, you're muted.
You are muted. So just go ahead and unmute yourself. It might be something with your mic system on your computer because you're not muted on the screen, but there's something with your speaker system that's not allowing us to hear you. Look at your speaker system, make sure it's connected to the right microphone that you want us to hear you from.
Sometimes you have to go in and use the actual computer microphone. You have to click it.
Nothing like live television, you guys. Look at on your computer, click on your mic, see which microphone is using, which speakers are being used, and that might be the issue right there. Okay. Not on the StreamYard, on your actual computer. See which speakers are being used. What microphone is being used, I'm sorry. Looks like she might have had an epiphany. Let's see.
It does. We have that moment, that aha moment. You know, we've got a variety of people today, Terrence. We've got a poet, an author coming up. We've got Coach G coming up. We've got Andrea Lazan. She's been on before, the Legacy Liberator. We've got a lot of people coming. We still can't hear you, Jen. If you go in, trying to think where it might be on this, in the settings, if you go down to your settings on the StreamYard button down below, you'll have an audio that you can hit. If you hit the audio, it'll talk about did we get it?
This song is brought to you by Kelsey and
Nope.
We heard music, but we didn't hear you. Let's see. So we might have to have you pop out of StreamYard and pop back in, but before you pop back in, test your microphone to make sure you can hear yourself.
And it should pop up and let you do that.
Yeah. So pop out and pop back in. And what we're going to do is that we're going to give you guys a flashback of everybody that was at our recent BTBY experience in St. Louis. Oh, we had a heck of a time. We had over 37 speakers. And if you missed it, then you know what? You just got to make it to the next one in Kansas City. But we're just going to show you a clip of some of the speakers that was at our last event in February. And then we'll be right back with the BTBY Presents the Mastermind Series.
One of the best conferences of the year is finally here, becoming the Best You Conference. Join us live or virtually and hear from the greatest speakers in the country. Brenda Ringwood, Terrence Lethbridge, Stacey Wahey, Arcavius Armstrong, Dr. Lotus Richey, Regina Platt, Dr. Rick Bolton, Anthony Russo, Chuck Doyle, Dr. Ruben West, Jennifer Lauren, Jessica Warrior, Dr. Jawanda Rollins-Fells, Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris, Indy Nam, Tracy Randolph, Isabel Black, Sarah Minguez, Jill Reynolds, Kevin Wilson, Saccone Prince, Definitely Holly, Chuck Prison, Dr. Michael Freeland, Tommy Morgan, Prince Michael, James Griffin, Charlotte White, Aaron Page, Jeremy Nunez, Jeff Markinet Jr., Belton Showell III. Becoming the Best You Conference, February 17th through the 19th, 2023. Clayton Plaza Hotel, St. Louis, Missouri. Get your tickets today.
That was a fabulous conference. I can't wait for Kansas City. You know, our nucleus is in Kansas City, so the attendance is probably going to sell out at this conference. So you guys really, if you're wanting to do this, go on over to comechangeyourlife.com. Check it out. Tickets are cheap right now. I don't like the word cheap. They are very affordable right now.
Yes.
It's very
Yes.
affordable. And it's something that will change your life.
Yes, we want to say that the tickets are in your level of investment for the elevation that you want to get in your life. Brenda, we say all the time that people, if it's something they're interested in, they'll find the money for it. So tickets and the word expensive is all subjective. It depends upon the person who's going to buy the ticket. Now, if they think the ticket to this event is going to be something that's going to enhance their life or even change their life, then no matter what the price tag is, they're going to put the money down because they see the value in it. So all we're asking you to do is to see what is the value in investing in yourself
to
become the best version of you. What are you worth, and what are you willing to commit to continue to invest to increase your value? If you want to increase your value, if you want to increase your worth, if you want to become the best version of yourself with a little assistance from our great experts and thought leaders and speakers and breakout groups, then you want to have your face in the place August 25th through the 27th in Kansas City. Go on over to comechangeyourlife.com, comechangeyourlife.com, and then you will be able to hear from some of the great speakers that we've been highlighting on our BTBY Mastermind series, including our girl, Jen Wade. Hey, Jen, can you hear us?
No, we can't hear you.
We can hear the feedback of us, but we can't hear you. So it's got to be something speaker with the microphone that you're using. So you're just using the mic that's built into your laptop? Okay.
You have to click on your computer mic.
Okay, let's see something. Okay, so I just muted her, so we don't have the feedback. So she's hearing the broadcasts from her computer, but whatever mic that's on her computer isn't picking up her. So I'm going to ask you you should be able to click on the microphone. Yeah, the site doesn't have anything to do with it because you're on. So you're into StreamYard. and you're able to hear us, and your mic wasn't muted, so we should be able to hear you. So it's something with your microphone, your computer microphone, that isn't coming through. So unmute yourself on the StreamYard feed. Now try to say something. No. We hear our feedback. Okay. All right. What I think we're gonna have to do something in the background with you, Jen. So in the on a time schedule for you, put something in that brand to see what your time schedule is, and then we're gonna move to the next speaker. Okay. All right. So our next speaker, hopefully you are in the back room. I know you're in the back room, but hopefully you can go ahead and get it ready. And we're going to bring you up, and while we will work with Jen towards getting some issues with her microphone taken care of. This is what happens when you become the best version of you. Sometimes you've got to take a step back, look at the process, and come back even stronger. So, but I told you at the very beginning, she is a powerhouse. So once we get some technical things taken care of, we're going to come back strong with Jen Wade, and she's going to give you a message that I know is going to change your life if you let it. But let's move on, because we've got another person. You know, Brenda, everybody needs a coach, whether we're coaching in the game of sports, or whether like the situation where we just had with Jen, where we have to coach in the game of life. We need a coach to help us to get through the challenges that may be stopping us to be the best version of ourselves, in sports, as well as being the best version of ourselves in the game of life. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I do. And not only just the whole game of life, you owe it to yourself. Because when you are your best self, your quality of life is it's a game changer. And then when you pay it to yourself, you owe it to your family. So then when you pay it to your family, now you're putting your priorities in order. So you're becoming your best self for you. You're becoming your best self for your families. Now that starts to reach into work, in your personal relationships, your professional relationships, your church, anything that you do. When you're trying to become your best self, now you are benefiting. Do you hear that? Benefiting yourself and others.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then you become a benefactor to other people. And luckily, the next person that we have knows how to coach the game of sports as well as the game of life. Our next speaker that's coming to the stage is a father of 3 amazing adult sons and a devoted poppy to 6 beautiful granddaughters, a championship basketball coach, and a trailblazing entrepreneur that's built 2 businesses from the ground up, one of which is a grassroots basketball program which develops several college scholarship athletes. Y'all heard me say the word scholarship, so that means they got some money to go play. And he's also an anointed minister of the gospel that's led hundreds of youth and young adults to Christ. So he's not only in it to win it in the game of sports, he's in it to help people win it in the game of life. And if you've got your pen and pad ready, he's probably in it to help you win today on your journey to becoming the best you. So let's welcome to the BTBY Presents stage our coach, Coach G, Gary Newsom. Hey, Gary, how are you?
Hey, my people. How you guys doing?
We are fabulous.
Oh, we hear you loud and clear. Hey.
Good. I'm excited about that. I was looking forward to hearing Jen.
Well,
yes, you got a little. That's right. You got a little taste of her at the conference in St. Louis because you were there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
What was your experience?
It was amazing. It was groundbreaking and transformational for me. It changed. It just changed my way of thinking, and um, it helped me to understand that 50% of winning the fight is getting in the fight. Is
Mm.
actually getting up and doing what you say you're going to do. It's one thing to say things, but it's a whole different game. Is actually getting into the game. I had to teach myself. I teach my kids that all the time. Get in the game. Get in the game. Get in the game. Stop watching. Get off the sideline. Get in the game. And the conference motivated me to do that. Gary, wake up and get in the game. This is what you love to do. This is what you were born to do and created to do. So today I'm getting in the game.
Absolutely, absolutely, you are, and welcome to BTBY. Welcome to our virtual platform, and you're also in our speaking class, aren't you? How's that going?
Yes, ma'am. It's challenging. It's motivating. It's exciting. I have two of the greatest teachers in the world, in my opinion. I have to give honor where honor is due. So I appreciate you guys pouring into not only myself, but my classmates and just giving your best to us and helping us become the best that we can be.
Oh, you bet. Well, you took the step. You did it. You said yes. So that's where it starts, is saying yes. You got in the game.
I got in the game, but I thank you for pushing me and being my coach and believing in me.
Oh, you are quite welcome. And you're believing in yourself, and that's where it starts. You have to believe in yourself. And with that, we're going to turn it over to you.
Well,
Yes,
okay.
this is Coach G. He's going to help you get in the game at BTBY Mastermind Series. Gary, take it away.
Well, I just wanted to start with giving honor, as I said, where honor is due. And I want to thank Bryn and Terrence. I obviously want to thank the Lord. I have a journey, and what I want to talk a tidbit on today is the journey of a warrior by any means necessary. And that'll come in later time. I'm just going to give you a tidbit of that today. But I've been battling back and forth. What do I talk about? What do I share about? I have so much to share about, especially over my life, but especially the last 3 years. I felt like the Lord directed me to talk about my journey in the darkness. So many people in our country, due to COVID, are going through a journey of darkness. And I just want to give you some encouragement. I'm a coach of encouragement as well. I really motivate my kids or young people through my own life experience, but I just support them and bring out the best in them. So I wanted to encourage you today in your journey of darkness. And by doing that, I felt like I needed to be transparent with you today. So I made a decision, and to answer Bryn and Terrence's question earlier, I forgot to say, I made a decision that I'm through hiding in the shadows for fear that I may fail. I mean, I was being a hypocrite to the things that I've taught my kids for the last 25 years. I was hiding in the shadows of fear, afraid that I would fail. And I did fail. And as Terrence introduced me, there's a lot of things that he talked about that over the last 3 years I've lost. And that's for a later discussion. I've lost a lot of things. But what I found in the BTBY conference in St. Louis was I found myself. I found my identity. So I'm always big on talking about identity. I lost myself. I lost my identity in that journey of darkness. So much to say, but I'll just talk about this part. I was a person who became everything that everybody else needed me to be. If you needed me to be coach, if you needed me to be father, husband, brother, cousin, uncle, best friend, confidant, encourager, whatever that was. And while that's all well and good, I lost myself. I lost my identity. And it just sapped everything out of me, the strength, the energy. And I got to a point where I was pouring from an empty cup. I did it successfully for quite a long time. But in 2018, I kind of hit a wall. And there was no more to pull from the cup. There was nothing else in the cup. I was pouring from an empty cup. And everyone's used to me being the strong one. So as I tried to reach out to those in my circle and said, hey, I'm in trouble. I'm hurting. I'm weak, or there's cracks in the armor. I'm just saying all these different things. And everybody replied, you're the warrior. You're the fighter. You're the prayer warrior. You're this, you're this. Everybody depends on you to be strong. But I learned even the strong need support. Even the strong need to come off the wall sometimes and rest. But being a man, especially being a Black man, I was taught not to show that emotion, not to show that I wasn't strong. I had been programmed and learned the wrong definition of the word strong. So really, over the last couple of days, I took the time to really learn that word, to understand that word. Strong, one of the best definitions, or the definition that I want to teach to you today, is able to withstand great force or pressure. Let me say that for you again. Strong, able to withstand great force or pressure. That was the definition of my life. But I viewed it from the wrong perspective. I felt that the experiences I was going through made me weak, made me soft, made me emotional. And the emotions, displaying those emotions made me weak. Showing those emotions made me weak. But what I learned through my journey of darkness is that it actually made me strong. I had to redefine that word. So back to the story, I need to tell you a story. 2018, October, I had reached a point in my life of ultimate darkness. I had spent the last 30 days in the deepest, darkest depression of my life. And I fought, I prayed, I studied, I sought counsel. I did all these different things trying to figure out how to pull myself out of it, but nothing worked. And I just grew deeper and darker into that despair, in that cage, in that cave, whatever you want to call it, day by day, literally hour by hour. I knew I was sinking. I knew I was falling off the cliff. And as I was there for so many other people, I was like, Lord, who's going to catch me? I had lost my relationship even with the Lord because it was difficult for me to pray. It was difficult for me to actually open my word and read every day. It was just like I was empty. I was talking to the walls. And I reached out to social media. And when I'm talking about social media, I really meant to the internet. And I began to study how to die. Yeah, Coach G. And if you polled anybody, that would probably be the last thing people would say about me. The happy-go-lucky, the positive guy was studying how to die. I'd made a decision that on a certain day in October, the 18th, that this was going to be my last day on the earth. And I'm going to be intimate with you. I believe the reason I connect with people at the level that I do, or the capacity that I do, is because I'm always intimate. I'm authentic. I share. So I'm going to do that with you today. I'd made a decision in my mind. October 18th, 2018 was going to be my last day on this earth. I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. The walls were caving in on me. And this is my first time. I've shared this in therapy, but this is my first time actually sharing this live. But I believe this is what the Lord settled me in on to share about today. So I'm going to tell the story. So I'd made a decision this was going to be my day. My son, youngest son, and my wife had just left to go to the store. And I'd loaded my 9mm. I went to my living room, sat on my knees and racked it. I'm left-handed, so I'm holding the gun. My hand is shaking like this. I had positioned the gun actually in my mouth in the way that I had studied. This was the best way to die. And I know this is crazy and sounds crazy, but I'm just going to share the story. And I found myself at a point, took a deep breath, and I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the end. And I'm going to do this today. And I closed my eyes, had my hand on the gun, finger on the trigger, ready to fire. And a miracle happened. A miracle happened. As I sat in my living room on my knees with that gun in my mouth, my TV came on. And not only did my TV come on, it came on to a gospel station. And not only to a gospel station, but it came on to a group called Worship Mob that was singing a song called Defender. And I was in a place where I was broken. I felt broken in a billion pieces. And even if I could put myself back together, I had no idea where all those billion pieces were. And I knew if I tried to put myself back together, I couldn't, because there's no way I would be able to piece all of me back together. But this song, Defender, go listen to it, Worship Mob. This song spoke life. It breathed life into me. And it talked about how God knew exactly where all the billion pieces were, and that I didn't have to do it. I wasn't on an island all by myself. And I know a lot of us think that we're all alone on an island by ourselves, and no one understands. No one gets us. No one sees us. That's how I felt. I'm in pain, and no one saw me or understood what I was going through, but God did. And he sent a song for me that was probably written for millions and millions of people, but it was for me in that hour. It then showed me that God loved me that much. So the song, a deeper part into the song, a guy comes on and he's speaking prophetically, and he's literally speaking my thoughts. The thoughts that were running through my mind in that hour before I was sitting on my knees in my living room ready to take my life. And it literally wrecked me. Literally wrecked me. I put the gun down, racked it so that the bullet would come out, and just worshiped. I spent the next hour worshiping God and thanking God for giving me a second chance, giving me the strength to get through that moment of time. And I know what I know about God is he's not a respecter of persons. He is not a respecter of persons. And what he did for me, I'm here to stand here today to tell you he'll do for you. And as I've studied suicide rates through COVID, they're rising astronomically. I mean, just epic levels. They're crazy because people are lost. They're walking through this journey of darkness. People have lost their minds. They've lost their businesses. They've lost their homes. They've lost their families. Some of them even have lost their lives and loved ones. And they have nowhere to turn, or they think. And they feel like they're in that darkness journey all by themselves, walking in an island, stuck. No hope, no help, no support. But I'm here today to tell you that the devil is a lie. Yeah. Yes, he is. And some of you, as I'm talking right now, he's whispering in your ear. But I'm here to tell you that he is a lie. As I said, God is not a respecter of persons. And as he did for me, he'll do for you. So I learned in that journey of darkness. Let me fast forward the story. I wiped my face, got up, put the gun down. And at that moment, my wife and son walked back into the house and had no idea what had just happened. But that situation marked me because I had to look in the mirror and I'm like, what has happened to me that I got to this point? Gary Newsom, star athlete throughout high school, business owner, multi-business owner, running a program, one of the largest programs at that time in Kansas City, over 250 kids in the program, championship after championship after championship. And here I am on my knees in my living room, ready to take my life. What had brought me to that point? That's a longer story that I'll have to go into later. But what I did learn about me was strong. I'll circle back to that word. I'll read it again. Able to withstand great pressure or force. That day, in that hour, I learned just how strong I am. Just how strong I am. What I thought was weakness, showing my emotions, sharing my feelings, sharing my heart, asking for help, saying that I was in trouble. I viewed those things as weakness, but really they were strength. I learned in that moment that it doesn't take strength to be on an island all by yourself. It doesn't take strength to not ask for help. It doesn't take strength not to show your emotions. And men, Black men, it doesn't take strength not to cry. It shows strength to cry. It displays strength to show your emotions. It displays strength to ask for help, to ask for support, to lean and depend on someone else, to build a relationship with a higher being. See, it's not about, I'm not anti-church, but I'm not church anymore. What I've learned about myself is I had to build this vertical relationship with the Lord. And once I built that vertical relationship with the Lord, everything else fell into place. So I'm just here today to encourage you. I do a thing called the Warrior Word every day, probably 6, 7, 8 of them a day on Facebook. And it's nothing special. It's nothing deep, but it is important. It is significant because what I learned in that Warrior Word, that a simple word to a person every day can be that one word that changes someone's life. It was that one word in that song that changed my life. So every day I send out a word of love. I am an agent of love. I send out a word of encouragement. I send out a word of support. I send out a word of hope. I include scripture. I believe in that because that's the foundation, the core of who Gary Newsom is. But that simple thing that I do changes lives. And I just learned that one person can change lives. Obviously, I'm not Jesus and he changed lives, one man. But I'm a child of the Most High God. Jesus, I see as my brother. And that's my assignment in this life, in this world, is to change lives, to build warriors. My mandate, actually, is to build warriors. I learned that in 2004 in service. A man of God turned around to me and told me, you will minister to thousands and thousands of youth and young people. So my demographic is usually, I would say, 15 to 35. I understand them. I hear them. I know their language, and I feel their pain. I feel it. But I'm here to tell you that it's not over. It's not over. It's not time for you to check out. It's actually time for you to stand up and be strong. It's time for you to get up and get in the game. Stop watching life go by and pass you by. It's time for you to actually get up, shake yourself off, and you might have to physically do that. I don't know how many times I've had to do that, shake myself off. But I made a decision that I was going to shake myself off. I made a decision that I was no longer going to live hiding in the shadows, being afraid to fail. Fear, false evidence appearing real. I had bought into that. I had bought into the wrong definition of strong. But now that I've changed that and I understand my strength, I understand where my strength comes from. I understand who I am. When I look in the mirror, I know who I am now. I know that I'm a warrior. I know that I'm an overcomer. I know that I'm strong. I know that I'm an asset and not a liability. I know that I'm light and not darkness. I know that I'm an overcomer. I'm more than enough. I am lovable. I am loved. I am accepted. I believe in myself in a degree that I never have before, even despite all the successes I've had in my life before. This new version, Gary 2.0, is a greater, stronger, wiser, better version. And I'm thankful to BTBY for this platform. I'm thankful to Bryn. I'm thankful to Terrence. I'm thankful to all my classmates and all the different people, Dr. Lotus, Dr. West, Izzy, Chuck. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And that's why I probably shouldn't have started with name calling, but you know who you are. Those that have talked to me and spoken into my life. I'm so thankful for this opportunity. And it's an opportunity that I will not waste, that I will seize the opportunity that has been given to me and become the best me. So I encourage you today, become the best you. Plug in, buy in, get into the game. It's not over.
Wow, 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 wow. Get into the game. It is not over. Now that's a mic drop right there, but I don't have a mic that I can afford to drop. So I'm gonna drop the pin. I'm gonna drop the pin. I'm gonna drop the pin. Great job, Coach G. How are you, sir?
I'm great. You know what? I fought that all night. I did not sleep well. I couldn't breathe. I woke up this morning with such a heaviness and full of emotion, knowing the assignment that was in front of me today. And I had to go back upstairs and go in the prayer closet and pray and cry. But I've learned that. That's strength. That's strength. That's standing up and being strong. That's getting in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I could have tuck-tailed and ran. And Bryn, there's so many times last night I wanted to reach out to you and be like, I can't do it, sis. I know I'm going to disappoint you, but I just can't do it. But that's no longer an option in my life. I can't. I said yes to you, and I say yes to you now, and I say yes every day going forward.
Well, you know what? I'm glad
that's
you
a
said yes.
message. That's a message that you have probably given to your student athletes, your scholarship athletes, your youth adults in your ministry. You've probably given that same message to them over and over again. Would that be a true assessment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had to look in the mirror and apply it to myself. It's funny how we teach so many things to other people and then we never apply it to ourselves. We never look in the mirror and apply it to ourselves.
Nope, we
Yes,
don't. And
there's something that we talk about. Go ahead, Brenda. I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna say it's super hard to tell your story, especially a story that you don't think people are going to relate to, or that they're going to judge you for, or that you're ashamed of, embarrassed about, but you did it. And that's the first step to becoming the best you, is
Right.
sharing that story, getting it out there, because your story can help others that are going through it. We had Tammy Joy at our conference in St. Louis, and she is a multiple attempt suicide survivor. And now she's on a mission that kindness matters, that you don't know what people are going through. And she's making a difference in lives by connecting the dots with what's going on in people's minds when that happens. And she said she still struggles. She still struggles, but because she can now help other people, it helps the struggle to become less.
Yes, I would
So
agree with that.
what you are talking about is things that people do struggle with. It is definitely a challenge, but you're here, you're talking about it, and you're sharing that story, and people need to hear that, because they might, just like you said, me, Coach G, the business owner, the warrior, the creator of these things, you still struggle because you are still man. And
You're human. Yep.
yes, you are still going to make those mistakes. But when you own them and you use them to step into the next platform, the next phase of your life, now those mistakes have become experiences to propel you forward. That is the first step in change.
Right. My pain is becoming my platform. I'm
That's
learning
right.
that. My
And
struggle.
there's nothing
I
wrong
love
with that.
Right.
To be honest with you, go ahead, Terrence.
That sounds like a phrase that pays, but that's for another conversation.
Sounds like we're in our speaking class. We have,
Yeah.
when I was growing up and Terrence was growing up, probably you as well, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have internet, we didn't have virtual platforms. So we couldn't go research like we can today. There's so many things that are at our fingertips now to help us through it, but unfortunately, there's just as much things that can bring you to it, with all of the negativity and the bullying and everything. With everything now that you can go out and get to educate yourself, there's just as much of the negativity, but you got to learn when and who to separate from, and who to listen to and who not to listen to. So Gary, thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming on our platform. Looking forward to seeing what transpires in your life. I'm sure you're going to be on many stages. So keep your head up, keep sharing that story, keep being a positive influence for other people. And again, thank you for coming to our platform today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm in rebuild mode. I'm excited.
Very good.
Yeah, and I just when I thought about your presentation before we let you go, the one thing that came to mind, bringing this coaching thing all together, is I want you guys to write this down in your notes, because it's powerful, and Gary just brought it home. Life is not a spectator sport. You have got to get in the game. You can't sit in the sidelines waiting for someone else to get you in the game. You've got to be able to step up, stand out, put that one foot in front of the other, and get out there in the game so that you can become the best version of yourself. And if you're looking for someone who can help you do that right now, then we want you to connect with Coach G, Gary Newsom. Gary, how can they get in contact with you if they just cannot wait until August to get more of what you're putting down?
I'm on Facebook. So my name, Gary Newsom. Instagram is at Coach G New. So like I said, I'm in the beginning stages. So I'm going through some branding processes now and figuring out identity, what that needs to look like for me. But that will be coming soon.
Well, absolutely. Hit Coach G up, Gary Newsom, on Facebook or on his IG account at Coach G, and definitely get in the game. Because if you are looking to become the best version of yourself this year, this month, this day, then you got to get in the game. Thank you so much.
I got an assignment for you, Gary, though, before you go.
Yes, ma'am.
Give us a video, post it in our groups about your name and what it means.
You know, that's part of what I was going to go through today. And actually, I'm assigning that assignment to everybody that's watching us today. If you have no idea, or if you're lost and trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I'm supposed to do in life? You're fumbling around with that. I challenge you today to study your name, your first name and your middle name. On one sheet of paper, just write down, like Gary, write down everything you can find on Gary. My middle name is Lee. Write down everything you find on your middle name. Or my middle name would be Lee, and then condense that into a paragraph and then to two sentences, and you'll be surprised how prophetically that speaks into your destiny. So, Brent, I'll do that for you today.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate you
You're
coming.
welcome.
All right,
Terrence,
let's
who do
give
we
it up
have
again
next?
for Gary Newsom.
Oh, yes, he is phenomenal. Who we got next? I'm excited.
Well, you know who we have next? We got a poet in the house. You thought we was just going to hit you with just words and information and knowledge. You know, we're going to give you some rhyme for your time. We're going to give you a message that's going to transcend what you would normally hear. We're going to give you someone whose main mission is to inspire geniuses of life to follow their inner voice and to impact the world with their unique way, your unique way of self-expression. And this gentleman, he introduced himself to us. Yes, he walked up to us and introduced himself to everybody that was in St. Louis at the BTBY experience in February, letting them know that he was looking to speak on not just local stages, not just national stages, but he was willing to speak wherever there was a need for inspiration. And so we said, okay, bruh, here you go. So let's welcome to the stage none other than the phenomenal young man known as Trey Don Inspires. Hey, Trey Don, how are you, sir?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm doing phenomenal today. Excited
Well,
to
we
be
are
here.
so welcome to introduce you to the BTBY family on our mastermind series. But before we go any further, tell them a little bit more about who Trey Don is, and then we'll jump right on into your presentation, okay?
Okay. So, Trayvon Inspires is an individual that embodies inspiration, that embodies the fact that you can do anything that you put your mind to if you breathe that existence in you. You see, we have the thing called breath where we can breathe in and breathe out. If you can breathe, because that's what inspired means, if you can breathe it into who you are, you can breathe it out into the world. And so what I do is I help people to be able to do that. When I walk into a room, when I open my mouth, when I'm quiet, when I'm reading, everything I do is for the inspiration of other people to realize that there is more in them.
Well, you know what, Trey Don, I'll speak for Brenda. I think we're ready to be inspired. So the stage is yours. Welcome, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Don Inspires.
All right. Can't see myself. Okay, there we go. All right. So I want to speak to you. And one of the things I want to speak to you about, and it just came to me just a couple minutes ago, and it's this phrase. It was the first time I got on stage and I spoke at a college. And the phrase came to me and it was, greatness is your birthright and mediocrity is your choice. I'll repeat that again. Greatness is your birthright and mediocrity is your choice. But it took me a while to believe that for myself, because I once was in a place where there were gunshots every time I go to sleep, where sometimes I had holes in my shoes and sometimes I had to go to school and be bullied and indifferent because I didn't realize that I had something within me. I had ideas and things that other people wanted to see, that other people wanted to be breathed in them. You see, I would walk around the school like a ghost, invisible, because I was afraid of being seen. Because every time I was seen, it was, oh, look at that dirty kid. Oh, look at him. All the names I was called. And from that being, I lost my identity of who I wanted to be, which is someone who was inspirational, which is someone who wanted to speak on stages across the world. At a young age, my voice was silenced. Sometimes even when I go home and I would try to speak and express my ideas, be quiet, you're irritating, leave me alone. And I would have to retreat to my room and be in that space, be in that place, and just contemplate over and over again, why can my voice not be heard? Why am I not experiencing this greatness that is in me? Because as I said before, greatness is your birthright and mediocrity is your choice. But sometimes life knocks that out of your awareness and you forget that. You forget that. I remember forgetting that one time when I was in class and I would talk among my peers about ideas, because I was uninterested in what was going on, the math that was going on the table, the things that was going on the board. I was more interested in these ideas that I wanted to bring into existence. And again, I was called talkative. Again and again, I was told to be quiet. And then again, my voice got silent. And all those ideas only became something that was inward. I only knew to inhale, just inhale, and it hurt. For so long, I was dealing with that until I got to high school and I saw that I wasn't the only one that was just inhaling, that wasn't exhaling their greatness. I was not the only one. I saw people with baggage all around me. I saw people with cut marks on their arms. I saw people that wanted to die. I saw all different types of things from people that you would not know was experienced that. And I saw that there was many people like me who had greatness that they did not realize, that they did not know that they had. And then again and again, they were told to just keep it in, just keep it in, just keep it in. Have you ever just inhaled and just kept it in for you probably can't do it for a minute. Try doing that for years. How many ideas are just beneath the surface inside of you? And for me, one of those was poetry. I'm a poet, spoken word poet. And when I got to high school, I got to exhale finally some of my works, some of my poetry. I went to a creative writing club and I got to see other types of people in the poetry they did and got to be fascinated and mind blown. And I got to do it. And then I got into a relationship, and that's where the real challenge came, because every word that came out of my mouth became poetry. Every word that came out of my lips, when I spoke to my significant other, when I spoke to the person I was in a relationship with, everything came out of my lips was poetry. Why? Because I was inhaling it for so long, and all I needed to do was direct it somewhere. When I went on that stage, when I finally had the courage to go on the stage on the talent show, it exhaled. And then again and again, I started to learn what it means to breathe. Breathe in greatness and exhale it out. Because greatness is your birthright and mediocrity is your choice. You see, there were moments in high school where I would sit on the sidelines and I would watch the people go on stage and I would say, I want to be like them. But then when it came time to sign up, hey, who wants to do it? Fear. All the things that I was told when I was a kid. I try to pick up my pen and pencil. I'm like, I hear it. Be quiet, you're irritating. I hear it. You have dirty kid. I hear it. Booger nose bandit. I hear it. And I cannot put my name on the piece of paper to be able to sign up to get on that stage. Because I didn't realize that greatness was my birthright. And mediocrity was my choice. And then again and again, I allowed the opportunities to just pass me by, to just pass me by, to just pass me by again and again. It's like being on the road and you got your thumb up and you're trying to get a ride. And then someone comes by, they're like, here, I'll pick you up. Nope, I'm gonna wait for the next one. And then someone else comes, they're like, here, I'll give you a ride to the desk. Nope, I'll wait for the next one. You still got your thumb up. Yes, the next one comes, next one. And again, you forget. You forget that greatness is your birthright and mediocrity is your choice. And again, even though there were moments where I was able to exhale, still I had the habit of holding it in. Still I had the habit of isolating and not telling people. Still I had the habit of closing my eyes and my mind to the world around me and just keeping it to myself. So long I've been exhaling it. So long I've been inhaling, and it just became natural to just breathe in, to be around people who just breathe in, to be afraid to exhale myself onto the world because I didn't want to be seen as another burden. That was one of my favorite lines. I don't want to be a burden to you. I don't want to bother you. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to fail. Use this perfection habit of things having to be perfect as a way to block myself from being the imperfect version that will inspire even more people, because no one is perfect. No inhale or exhale is perfect. You see, sometimes you breathe out of just one nostril. Your breathing is not always perfect. Your exhale onto the world is not always perfect. You get better at it because greatness is your birthright and mediocrity is your choice. And I had to learn that day after day. And it wasn't until a moment where I was doing a poem in my bunker, in my room for Army. And there in that room, I was doing something on FaceTime just like this, and I was just going in. Somebody walked in on me. They looked there. They sat down. They said, "That was in you? Why have we not heard this version of you?" You know what? No, you need to go up in front of some people and speak. They need to hear this. That's like, okay. And they went and they went to go tell my instructor. They said, "Hey, he has something to say. Put him on stage." Next 2 days, I'm on stage in front of these people, in front of this audience at a talent show. And I had to get up and do a poem that I had did. It's called "A Boy Like Me." And I'm gonna do this poem right now, and I'm gonna give you the experience that happened when I had did this, just so you can see this is how the poem goes. We're just gonna break into it, right? I knew a boy with a crown on his head that he couldn't see, a hidden kingdom in his mind and a fire frozen in his heart, and he was a lot like me. He was a peasant in his own land, walking with a slow stagger sway, hunched over and pushed around to freeze him out the box in which he stayed. He was quiet when he spoke, but loud when he listened. Please listen. He had no ambitions, no real goals, no direction, submission by what his past showed him, conditioned by what his parents told him, messed up by the environment that molded him. Please listen, because he was a lot like me. Rejected by his peers and subjected to a point where he wanted to disappear but not die. Just be someone else. Someone who was popular and powerful. Someone who was treated differently. Someone just like me. He wanted what I have now. You see, when I had did that poem, there was silence. There was not a shake into the room. There was emotion. There was utter attention. And when I stood up in front of the judges, they told me to turn around. And when I turned around, everybody in the audience was standing up. Everybody was clapping. I had got the recognition and acknowledgement I've never gotten in my life. And from that moment, I knew that greatness was my birthright and mediocrity was my choice. I had people walk up to me, men walk up to me and say, "I experienced what you experienced. I was there with you. I felt every single word." Every single word. And from that moment, I realized my ability to inspire. That moment, I remember the child that wanted to go across the world and speak. I remembered who I was meant to be. And from that moment, I decided that was what I was going to live in. That's what I was going to do. That's who I was going to be. And that poem that I read, I put it inside of a book, The Poet's Playlist on Pain and Promise. All the things that happened to me when I was a child, not all the things, some of the things that happened in high school, I put it in this book because I was inspired that if my words could cause a whole audience to stand, people from different backgrounds being able to stand and clap for me and say that I've experienced that, why not put it inside of a book? And at 19 years young, I went on the journey to publish my first book, Imperfect. Have some flaws in there. You probably find typos, but I did it. Because greatness is my birthright. And mediocrity is my choice. And I went on to publish a book called The Poet's Playlist. And to leave some of my intimate thoughts within that space so that other people can experience what I experienced. So that people can not only just keep things inhaled, but remember to exhale imperfectly, beautifully, phenomenally. And learn to get better at it. Learn to be better at being inspirational, because each and every one of you is inspirational. Each and every one of you. Each and every one of you has a breath inside of you that if you were to exhale it across the world, it would breathe life into others. And I've learned that from myself. And one of the things that helped me with that is this thing I call investigation. You see, when things happen to you, you have to investigate. You have to go within that space and ask those questions that you are afraid to ask. Who am I? What is it that I want to bring to the world? What is it that's stopping me? Where do I want to go? Who do I love? Who do I look up to? What parts of me do I not like about myself? Asking those questions and going into that space and being serious. Being able to strip those parts of you that aren't you anymore so that you can be the shining example of who you are. You see, I had to ask those questions. That's my first thing I do is I ask questions to myself. And when in those questions, answer will come. And with those answers, you have to act. You have to move. And put your imprint on this world. Do what it is that you are supposed to do. Because each and every one of you has an idea. I believe that every single person on this planet has $1 billion idea, but only some will realize it. Only very few are willing to take that weight and make it happen. Take that responsibility, the ability to respond. Each and every one of you has it. Each and every one of you. And when I went on that stage, I realized that was my first step. And then from then on, opportunity after opportunity, downfall after downfall, breakup after breakup, breakthrough after breakthrough happened. But it was not an easy thing. And for this reason, one of the things I've recently tapped into do is start this thing I call introversity. It is a mastermind for introverts. Because you see, I was one of those people. I don't like to be around people all the time. I don't like to speak all the time. But when I get the opportunity, you will hear me. And I feel that introverts of the world have these gifts, have these abilities, have these things that they keep inhaled inside of them. That if I can help them exhale, if I can help them be able to not be so quiet, be able to speak, be able to be articulate, be able to take action, be able to be confident, and they can bring their ideas forward and realize that greatness is their birthright and mediocrity is their choice. And so I'm trying new things, trying new programs, not even trying, but striving. I would change that word. I'm striving to do new things, striving to be in a new place, Because you see, when you realize your birthright, you just get so enthused with energy that you just want to try everything, do everything, fail on your back, and keep moving forward and forward and forward, sometimes even back, because you are in the height of existence. Once you realize that it's up to you to bring it into existence. Because as I said before, greatness is your birthright and mediocrity is your choice. You see, I didn't finish that poem earlier, so I want to finish it for you. Just the ending part. And I ended off the poem and I said, build with your mind. Keep it real and use your time. Take steps towards what you want. Proudly wear your crown, and if you seek with your heart, greatness will be found. Build your mind carefully. It must withstand attack. Your mind mustn't fall nor crumble on you. Your mind must have your back. Love yourself and work towards who you want to be. And that boy become a man just like when that boy was me. Why? As I've said before, you remember? Greatness is our birthright. And mediocrity is our choice. You see, you were born with everything required to do what it is you would like to do in your life. Born with everything. You were born with the imagination, with the perception, with the will, with the memory, with the intuition, with the reasoning. You were born with everything. And sometimes we forget that. And so what I love to do, as well as doing poetry, is help people tap into what they have forgotten that they can do. Tap into their breath. What do they want to exhale onto the world and be inspirational? All types of people be able to help. Because there is no age attached to greatness. You can start anywhere, at any time. But it is now. Because right now you are breathing. Right now you are in this moment. Right now is your time to become that bigger person. As I said before, not the peasant, but the king. Not the peasant, but the queen. But the Madonna, but everything that you can be. And that's what I do. Is I challenge people to go beyond, because I see it. I don't do scripts. I speak from my heart. I like to say I live life unscripted. It's fun that way. I live it unscripted. I never know what's going to happen next. And once you start to do that, strip away the fears, you will see things open up to you. Just like this opportunity for me. Walking up to them and talking to everybody at that conference was not an easy thing. But I did. And so you can do that for you. So as I said before, greatness is your birthright and mediocrity is your choice. So stay inspired.
That was awesome. I love the birthright. Absolutely loved it.
I love it. I love it so much. We are going to put it back on the screen because it was a powerful statement. He said throughout, greatness is your birthright. So I want you guys who's ever watching now, watching live, watching replay, nobody else is there. We can't see you really, but I want you to say this to yourself. Greatness is my birthright. Say it like you mean it. Greatness is my birthright. But mediocrity is my choice. Let that marinate. Let it flow all through your body so that you can understand the difference. Because you know what? If you can hear us, if you can hear Tradon, if you can see Tradon right now, that means you have the ability. You were given that ability at birth. That was part of the package for you being born. But the other part of the package is for you to take what you can see, take what you can hear, and then if you can speak while you're listening to the show, also speak back what you know to be true. And that is that greatness, Traydon said it, is your birthright.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can also
Yeah.
choose to be silent and be
Gary's
mediocre.
claiming it too. Looky there. Greatness is his birthright. He just spoke it into
Absolutely.
existence.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? I love what you're doing with the introvert mastermind. Because I know at one point in life, you may not believe it. I mean, I got Mr. Unstoppable on my tagline. So you may not have believed that at one point in my life I was introverted too. I didn't believe that anyone wanted to hear what I had to say, and I didn't believe that what I had to say had value to anyone.
Right.
But it just takes that step of faith, and it takes, like what our previous speaker said, Coach G, Gary, getting into the game and recognizing that you don't have to make all the plays in the game, but if you just make one, that may affect the whole outcome of the game. And I'm going to say that to all the introverts that may be watching us live or maybe watching us on the replay of this mastermind series. You may too feel like right now that you have nothing to say, or that what you have to say may not be of value to a whole lot of people. I want you to be just like Traydon and inspire one person, even if that one person is you. Imagine what you could do if you inspired yourself with your own words, and then inspired one other person, and then one other person, and then one other person. And that
each
person,
of those people inspires, right?
Right. Our first speaker, Brent Kessler, talked about compounding interest.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you could interest one other person in what you had to say, and then they interested somebody else, and then that person interests somebody else. Think of the compounding effect that you just focusing on one person and letting them know that greatness, my friend, is your birthright, but mediocrity is your choice. Man, Traydon, that was powerful stuff. We thank you, bruh. How can they get in contact with you if they want to hear more of your inspiring words, and if they want to get to know more about your poetry and pick up your book as well?
Mm-hmm. So if they want to tap in, you can go to my website at www.traydoninspires.com. That's one way that a person can tap in to be able to see some new things that I'll be doing, as well as on my Facebook, you tap in at Traydon Rogers. And my Instagram is the same. My Instagram is the same name, which is Traydon Inspires. So if you look up Traydon Inspires on any social media, you should be able to find me and see anything new that I'm doing and be able to tap in there. So,
No, that's what I love about the young people, Brenda, and I'm talking about you and I being the old ones on this screen.
Right.
The young people, they don't have 4 or 5 different ways that they're going to tell you how to reach out to them. They just say, you know what, I'm on all social media like this, everything. They just make it simple. No matter what you go to, whether you go to TikTok, whether you go IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, I'm the same thing everywhere. Just go put that in. So we're going to do it. I'm not going to even put the different ones. I'm just going to say TraydonInspires.com, and then look for them on social media under Traydon Inspires. I love it. I love it. We thank you. We look forward to hearing more from you in the future. And we want to say it to you, just like you said it to us. Traydon, greatness is your birthright. And thank you so much for sharing your birthright with us here at BTBY. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
All right. That was Traydon Inspires. Thank you so much for joining us here on BTBY Presents. Brenda, he knocked it out the park. What do you think?
Man, he did. Let me tell you, when you hear that somebody's a poet, sometimes you just instantly think that that's what you're going to hear, right? But there's so much thought that goes into a poem, because each one that a poet creates has a meaning. It's just not a rhyme. They're just not making things rhyme. So it's inspiring because there's a thought behind the message. And then that message is also his story.
Absolutely. You know, he said something through his presentation that I don't want it to slip by people, so I'm going to say that again. He said, tap into your forgotten greatness. Because many
Yeah,
times life throws you curveballs. Sometimes it throws you snowballs. Sometimes it throws you a whole entire
it throws
avalanche
you boulders. Yeah.
of boulders. Yeah. And you forget about the greatness that was you before the obstacle came in your way. And I love how he said, tap into the things that you've forgotten about you. You know, I'm not afraid to say it. Here at Unstoppable Coaching Services, we help you focus more on what you're able to do. And sometimes we forget what we're able to do because we're caught in the midst of those things that are stopping us. So
That's right.
I want to just remind you to despite what you're going through, despite the obstacles that may be in your way, despite the challenges that you have yet to overcome, don't forget the greatness that's already inside of you and tap into it. You know, Brenda, I love acronyms. So, you know, my acronym for TAP.
Mm,
My acronym for TAP is to take action personally, because nobody else can tap into your greatness for you. No, my brother, no, my sister, you have to do that
that's
yourself.
right. You are the only one that can make a difference in your life. You know, that brings us to our next speaker because she had a life-threatening anxiety attack that caused some pretty serious stuff in her life, and she decided no more. That she was going to
Yes.
tap into her greatness and
Mhm.
inspire others to do it. So tell us about her next speaker.
Yes, and when she decided to tap into her greatness, she liberated her own life. And now she's the life liberator, helping you to do the same in your life. As Brenda said, is a trauma recovered mom who helps mothers of neurodivergent children discover their love legacy so that they can bring harmony to their family through loving and celebrating themselves and their children's. Her life as a neurodiverse parent and neurodivergent, boy, she's going to explain this in her presentation, child, is the spark that motivates her advocacy for neurodiverse families. Now, if this powerful young lady can come from a almost devastating panic attack, turn her life around, liberate her own life, and have the tools, tips, and strategies to liberate your life too, if you allow it to. Oh, then I guess you better get your pens and you better get your pad, because we are about to bring the spark, the flame, and the fire to the stage. Welcome to the BTBY Mastermind, Andrea Luzon. Hey, Andrea, how are you?
Hello, loves. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Hello,
And
love.
she's a mother of twins.
True.
Twins. I
Twin
can't even
moms.
imagine.
Twin
All
moms got to
right.
stick together.
Well, we are great to have you as part of the BTBY family, and we are thankful that you took some time out of your day to be here on the BTBY Mastermind. So as always, you know, we could read your whole bio, but no one does it like you. So take a couple of seconds and tell us who Andrea Luzon is.
Awesome. So for those of you watching and witnessing, I would love, I know that I can't see all of you, but out loud in your house, in your office, in your car, wherever you're listening from, I would love to do a little call and response, little experiment here. So I'm going to start by saying, hello, love. And I want to hear you say it back. Hello, love.
Hello, loves.
Awesome. Thank you. I love how Terrence always plays along. Yay. I'd love for you to also say, today I choose to liberate my legacy.
Today, I choose to liberate my legacy.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. That was just a little playtime just to get us warmed up, because when you speak the truths that you are leaning into in your life, you have the power to make them come true. You are a powerful creator, especially when you're deliberate. I love how Tradon, who went just before me, was talking about how greatness is your birthright. And he is absolutely 100% right. He is so nailing it. Absolutely, 100%. So as Terrence said, I am Andrea Luzon, Legacy Liberator. I am a trauma recovering mom. I'm on a journey of healing myself and standing for moms who want to self-heal and create a better relationship with their neurodivergent child. So neurodivergence is simply means that your brain or your child's brain or the brain of the person who has what might be called a disorder, it just means that their brain is a little bit different. It's not what's called neurotypical. ADHD is the neurodivergence in my family, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. But I don't like the word disorder. God made all of us as unique creatures. And if us parents or us caregivers are willing to do the deep work, we can create real change in the world for our children and through our children. And so that's really what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to create in this lifetime. If you are here today, I feel like I already know something about you. I feel like I know that you are ready to be a stand for having great relationships in your life, and that you are ready to make a stand for yourself becoming the best you. That is what we are here to create together today. Am I right? Becoming the best you. So I'm willing to be wrong, because only you can decide the level of relationships you want in your life. Only you can decide what kind of life you want to live. Do you want it to be great? Do you want it to be the best? So I have a question for you. This is a little quiz. Where on our planet can you go to find the greatest ideas and the examples of self-expression in our world? Libraries, Smithsonian's, museums, historical documents, books? Where? Maybe you guessed it. Maybe you visited a place like it and you thought, I hope I don't come back here for a really long time. The place where the greatest ideas reside? Graveyards. That's right. If you're here today, I know that you're ready to be a stand for yourself, living your best life, and that the graveyard, hopefully for you, feels like it's a long, long way away. You got a long way to go. And maybe you love going to them, maybe you don't love going to them, but you don't see yourself 6 feet under anytime soon. So for me, graveyards became really upsetting about 5 years ago. And I'm going to tell you why. Because 5 years ago, I had been at a job I disliked for 7 years. I had been living my life trying to shove a square peg into a round hole. I was an extrovert, people-oriented enthusiast that had somehow become a data analyst. I was dying inside. I was feeling so limited. I stayed at the corporation because of health insurance, to feel secure, because it made my husband happy, because I could mentally check out at the end of my workday. But do those sound like the right reasons to stay in a career or at a job? There were other ingredients that were leading me to the cemetery. Bills were stacking up. I was trying to fit in various places in my life while I was sacrificing my wants and my desires, my authenticity. We'll go into more of that later. I was mothering my ADHD son and not really knowing how. And the job satisfaction was just one ingredient of many. So I started to acknowledge that the coffin was coming. You see, deep down, I saw myself heading to that graveyard with ideas and love and self-expression. And I really felt like it was dying inside of me. And that is when I broke. I had never had a panic attack until that Valentine's Day. I remember dreading getting clothes on for work, and suddenly I laid down in my closet and I cried so hard that the carpet fibers began intermingling with my teeth. That is how open-mouthed the sobs were coming out of my body. And I still remember how that carpet tastes. Hours went by, days went by. I stopped going to work. I was shunning and scaring my husband and my 4-year-old twins. I was inconsolable. I was incapacitated for about a week. And here's the thing. I think that spirit gave me a good dose of heading to the graveyard that day. It was my wake-up call. It was my turning point, and it was also my return to spirituality, to believing in something higher than myself. Thankfully, my story takes a positive turn, but I'm going to tell you right now that it was not easy. I rose to the challenge of exploring some deep inner work after my breakdown. All of that inner work led me to the work I do now. I have a process that I take my coaching clients through. It's called the Influencer Review. And it's about reflecting on the 5 main sources of influence in your life. And it truly reveals how deeply people can either affect or infect your life. So, did you hear that? We work together and we review how people can infect or affect your life. So I hope that you're taking a quick scan of your life right now and thinking about the people and the group. It can be groups, it can be a podcast, it can be a television show that you watch consistently. But really, we work together to look at those 5 main sources of influence that are happening for you. But thankfully, that day 5 years ago, I had a friend who threw me the lifeline when I felt like I was going 6 feet under. I'm so grateful. I had someone I could call to straighten me out. And I'm not saying that we were tight or even close friends at that time of our friendship, but I watched her improve her life over many years. I saw how she now stood for other people to do the same. And I knew deep down that even though so much of my body said, don't do it, don't call her, this feels awful, this is disgusting, I'm lowering myself, this feels really awful, but deep down I knew, that God spark inside of me was like, she's the person to call. There's the lifeline. You have the phone number. Pick up the phone and call. And I knew she at least could point me in the direction to go, even if she wasn't the one. I really knew enough about her, and she gave me hope. So my becoming the best me moment was reignited that day. That desire to find myself again, like to claw my way out of that 6 feet down feeling that I had been slowly sinking into over those 7 years and prior. But those 7 years, I could feel myself dying sitting at that desk and moving data around because that's not my wheelhouse. That's not my gift. So I had the courage to reach out for help. I had the humility to admit that I did not have the answers. I bravely chose vulnerability. And for those of you who have never heard of Brene Brown, I highly recommend looking her up. She has some powerful conversations about how vulnerability is the key to unlock us coming back to our greatness. And I am so grateful to that friend. I'm so grateful that I confessed that I was hurting and that I felt lost. After many conversations with my friend, I enrolled in a special school that trains practitioners of spiritual psychology and soul-centered living. Because psychology was never meant to be only about your brain and your thoughts. I could give you the definition and we could go back thousands of years, but psychology was really meant to be about the whole person. And it was meant to be a soul inclusive experience. So the divine, or whatever to you is boundless and divine, was always meant to play a role in the self-reflection of our lives, of us living our best life and evolving and awakening. That was always supposed to involve the soul. So that's when I started to rediscover myself. I started to take my power back. I started to live a purpose-led, passionate, powerful life. And I was so inspired to live my dreams at that point that I followed up spiritual psychology and soul-centered living training with becoming a practitioner of quantum activation, a specific modality of energy healing called reconnective healing. And I love it to this day. It is like my love bubble that I love going into with clients, with family, with myself even. So that led me to studying transformative leadership and shadow work. So I got to mentor leaders through Heart Core Leadership, through Heart Connection Breakthrough trainings. The University of Santa Monica has been such a source of a place to go back when I'm getting drifty. And drifty is like leadership language, which means that you're just kind of on a raft floating down a river, and you have no paddle. You're just letting yourself be in the drift. So these are the modalities that are now my home. And I've used these modalities now to work for others and stand for them coming home to themselves. And that is why this whole adventure, this spark being reignited, is why I teach people to live their legacy now. What is a love legacy? Your love legacy is the unique imprint that only you can make on hearts and minds through your presence, through your words, and through your deeds. So it's internal first, because you are imprinting on your own heart and your own mind first. And then it begins to ooze out into the world, into relationships. And then you affect or infect the people around you and the world around you and your life experiences and the depth, the intimacy, the passion, the power, the self-trust, the self-love, the self-choice everywhere in your life. You start to be one of those 5 influencers for other people. So your love legacy is pivotal on your growth trajectory, on your reawakening journey, on you living your best life, becoming the best you. So it's really an internal job first and foremost. And then it goes out into the world. So the biggest challenge with, you might be excited saying, okay, love legacy, on it, great, think I got it, good. The challenge is that most of us are imprinting from our wounds. So what do I mean by that? I mean that there are places in your body right now in this moment that are hurting. And I'm just going to jump to that assumption that there are little tiny places that remain inside of us that were most likely planted from age 0 to age 8. There was some interaction in your life. It could have been with a peer, a sibling, some kind of caregiver, a coach, a mentor, that it was uncomfortable. Whatever transpired between you and that situation, it was uncomfortable. And that discomfort led to you locking up somewhere inside. And then you made up a story. You made up a story about your value, how valuable you are to the world, how valuable you are in deserving relationships, how valuable you are when you're interacting with others and they act in a way that doesn't feel comfortable. And it's the place that you tend to go first. When you're having that uncomfortable moment, it's the place that you typically will subconsciously go straight to that pain point. And then you respond to life's situations from that wound. Most likely. Some of us have really dove into the self-healing journey, and we are no longer reactive. We know how to pause. We know how to breathe. We know how to remember who we are and our intentions, and then we respond to life from that place. So it's response able instead of being reactive. You become response able because you stop, because you breathe, because you remember who you really are. You remember the God spark. You are on the soul-led journey. You are living a soul-led life. So the journey is different for each of us. I coach people on how to improve relationships with neurodivergent family members. And sometimes that's ourself. Maybe we're the one who is neurodiverse. We are not neurotypical. Our brain, some of the chemistry that's happening in our brain, some of those neurotransmitters and the way that they are linking and the conclusions that we come to are very, very different than how other brains are wired. and how those neurons are talking to each other and how the messages travel through our body. See, I'm in the camp with you because my journey has been me parenting a child who struggles with neurodivergence, specifically ADHD. I realized, and here's where I would really like you to lean in once again. I realized that my expectations, my thoughts, and my beliefs were exacerbating the symptoms of my son instead of relieving them. My beliefs were exacerbating his symptoms instead of relieving them. So exacerbating is like I was triggering my thoughts, my reactivity triggered his thoughts, his beliefs, his reactivity. It's like he could feel my judgment. He could feel that my expectations were different than how he was showing up. How do you think that felt for him? How does that feel for you when people make assumptions about you? So I'd love for you to sit with how that feels in your body. And I'm going to say that again and give you a moment. My expectations, my thoughts, and my beliefs about myself and the world intensified some of my son's symptoms and reactions. So just stop for a moment and feel those words in your body. Maybe you're scanning your life and looking for where you are holding people to certain expectations. Where are you holding yourself to certain expectations and maybe not performing as you would like? So who here just wants to feel connected to your kid, to your spouse, to your partner, to your friends? Do you want to feel connected to yourself? And I know we don't have a chat here, but I would have you, if we were workshopping together or streaming on a different platform, I would have you write yes or no in the comments. And who do you want to connect with the most? And usually someone pops into your mind. And maybe it is you. Maybe it's you as a child, or maybe it's a child in your life. But let's be real. I'd love to know if some of the results that I'm creating in my work would really help you. So legacy liberation is really about helping you learn to calm yourself when life upsets you. So learning to calm yourself, loving your life, loving your partner, loving your child. That's number 2. And then the third thing is to stop yourself from yelling or overreacting. And overreacting can also be running away, avoidance, lack of intimacy, but stopping yourself from overreacting when you feel overwhelmed. So to shift from being reactive to being response able. And really the core of my teachings stems from my strong desire to help every human on this planet awake to their vision. Like, do you feel like your dreams are alive and unfolding? Would you like a jolt to get that stuff moving again, to get you inspired? I also stand for people getting free from their blocks. Are there ways that you behave that you sometimes are ashamed of? And then do you know why? Do you know what's underneath that? Are there dreams that you have that you're not taking steps towards? Do you know why you're not taking steps towards them? So what would life feel like if that block was removed and you started to move in the direction that you want to go? So living the expansive life is really what I'm here for. Like you feeling like you are your most expansive self. You're really in connection with that spark inside of you. And some would call it God. Some would call it something else. Some people call it universal consciousness. Some people call it the great heart of the universe. But whatever for you is boundless and divine. Are you feeling connected to that part that's inside of you? So I'm sure you know that the cost of not taking action is that the graveyard is coming. The cost of not doing the inner work is that your relationships stay the same. And is that okay? Just check in with yourself. As I scan around my life, Are my relationships 10 out of 10? Is there anything I would change? Is there anything I would amplify? Sometimes I like to play a game where I check in with a question or a proposition about a client or a job. And I check in with myself when I was 8. So I go back and visualize having a conversation or check in with what would it feel like if I was 8 again? Would taking this job or would moving to that town or would going for a walk or tickling my kids, like, would it feel good to my 8-year-old self? Just sitting with that for a moment. Does being right here, right now, listening to this talk, what would your 8-year-old think about all of these topics? And then I like to check in with my 80-year-old self. What would she say? She's lived 40 more years than I have. What does she think? What does she feel? Would she be proud of me for this move that I'm about to make? And just checking in with her and like tuning into that vibration of, how does my 8-year-old self feel about this? How does my 80-year-old self feel about this? And you could even take this one step further. You could check in with your graveyard self. Okay. What does the Andrea who has passed on think about the way I'm living my life right now in this moment? This action I'm about to take, this person I'm about to hug, this marriage, this friendship, this drive, this whatever it is, checking in with that version of yourself, that 6 feet under version. What would that version of you think about this moment and how you're showing up? It's a great way. And it's interesting because this could be influence in your 5 influencers. Your 8-year-old self can be there, can influence you. Your 80-year-old self, your self that is passed on from this world. So this is a check-in exercise I'm sharing with you. So for those of you who would love more support, would love to dive in and unpack some of the ways you've been showing up, I highly recommend finding a guru, finding a mentor. It can be a club. It can be a place that you go where you feel 100% or as close to 100% as you can get, but held and supported when you show up authentically. Whether you need to cry, whether you need someone to hold the bucket while you just vomit out some feelings, but a safe space. And I know that the becoming the best you community is a fantastic place to meet people that are on the high level of where you want to go or where you are going or where you are now. But there's nothing like having a community of people who are on this path with you. So this is your reminder today. This is the day that you can live your love legacy. Let this be your reminder that we're all going to pass at some point. So that graveyard is getting closer to you. But let today be the reminder of how you stand for yourself, you stand for your vision, and you surround yourself with those 5 influencers who are in line with what you want to create in your life. So I'm Andrea Luzon, Legacy Liberator. You can find me at andrealuzon.com, and I would love to support you, hear your story, and support you in unpacking the miracle of your love legacy. Thank you.
Wonderful job. Wonderful job. Yes, absolutely loved it. You always bring a unique light, a different side, a different viewpoint when you're presenting. And that's just great. Not everybody can do that.
Thank you
And
both.
you do it with a smile, and you do it with an energy. Even if you didn't have the backdrop behind you, I think we could see the energy of the stars and the universe in your presentation. You had some great nuggets that you dropped down there. The last nugget was just as powerful as the first nugget. Stand for yourself. You just dropped the mic right then and there. But I love this exercise that you mentioned, and I want you to just expound upon it just a little bit more. The exercise of the 8-year-old you, the 80-year-old you, and the graveyard you. And before you say that, I love that you have the last one, because unfortunately, some of us won't get to that 80-year-old, but we all we'll get to that graveyard. So, and because of that, many of us may not take the time to check in because we think we have more time than we actually do.
Mhm.
And as our friend Jeff Martinet says, we have to make every second count because we never know when our second is going to be up. So, what do you give us a couple of things you ask yourself when you check in with your 8-year-old self and when you check in with your graveyard self?
Sometimes just thinking about asking my 8-year-old self about what I'm trying to choose between, it already kind of changes my energy. It like instantly sends me into wanting to play and wanting to feel seen and appreciated and loved. Because I really think that when we're children, I mean, we're a little bit narcissistic as children, the world revolves around us, but typically we want to have fun and we want to be seen and appreciated. And so, yeah, so just me thinking of what would my 8-year-old self think about this, it already has me kind of answering in a way of like, is this playful? Like, it's what am I about? Am I being super serious right now and not fun? And that because if you've ever done disc assessment, I have high influencer energy and high director energy, and also high in the conscientious, which is like analyzing. And sometimes
Yes.
I, as a defense mechanism, I will slide into high analyzer controller energy. And I've noticed this tendency. And so even just me thinking about my 8-year-old self kind of helps me come back into the what does playful Andrea want?
Right, right, right.
Not always so
Yes,
serious and doubting, and when we're 8, we don't think about tomorrow. We're in the moment.
Yes.
and when
Yeah.
we're 8, we're fearless, and
Right.
that's what I was hoping you'd get to. And when we're 8, the world is our oyster. When we're 8, everything is possible. It's only until we have some downfalls. It's only until some obstacles are thrown in our way. It's only until we have some rejections of relationships. It's only until we had some things that take the joy away from our life that we start to lose that childlike mentality. And another person that is part of the family talks about looking at your life through the eyes of a child each and every day. What would you do if fear wasn't an issue? Would you jump out of that plane? Would you start that new business? Would you start that new relationship? Would you exercise more? Would you read more? Would you pray more? What would you do if there wasn't a fear of an obstacle being thrown in your way? That's, in my opinion, a liberating feeling. What do you think, Andrea?
Yes, I think you're onto it. I think you're onto it because that, and also your 80-year-old self and your graveyard self would most likely be saying, why are you being so stuck in fear? Why are you making a fearful, closed off, shoving yourself in a box kind of choice here? Life is a great experiment, right? And I believe that mistakes or blunders or missteps, whatever we want to call them, they're just ingredients to your success.
Mm.
We don't children it'd be kind of weird if our kids came out of the womb and then they just hopped up and started like running around. Wouldn't that be a little creepy?
It would be.
So, we're meant to
Yeah.
fall and stumble and get bruises, and then with that information we get our balance. We get our balance. We find our specific walk that we walk. And we wouldn't have that if we didn't stumble and fall.
It creates the
Absolutely.
character that we are.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I could talk about abilities and able all day long, but the formula for able is your abilities, your beliefs, coupled with your life lessons and your expectations. And all of those have to be in the mix. All of those have to be a part of the formula for you to become the best person that you are and liberate your life. So I'm glad that you talked about, especially when you said response able, because it's the capacity to respond. It's the capacity to react. It's the capacity to take a situation and take some action after that situation. What are you able to do in each one of those situations of your life? What were you able to do at 8?
Mhm.
What are you able to do now? And what will you be able to do if God blesses you to get to 80, 85, 90, even
And if you're
103,
over
like some
80,
people.
how are you sharing that?
Yes, yes, absolutely. How have your beliefs changed? What have you learned in all of those life lessons that you've got over those many, many years that have shaped your expectations for where you are now and where you're going to go in the future? If you can tap into those things, then like your background will be like Andrea's background right now. It'll be nothing but the stars because nothing, this earth won't be able to hold you and your abilities. So I appreciate you. Andrea, we got on the screen how they can get in contact with you, but why don't you tell them about that website one more again?
Yes, if you go to AndreaLuzon.com, and Luzon is Luzon, so AndreaLuzon.com, there's a button right at the top where you can book a chat with me and dive into, like, where am I now? What do I want? And what is in the gap? And if you're really willing to go deeper, then we get to strategize and break down some of those barriers and come up with a plan for you to close that gap.
Very
So,
nice.
Well,
love to see you all there.
Well, we thank
Yes,
you for
yes,
being part of
yes.
the BTBY family. We thank you for sharing your life, your light, and your liberation with us. And we appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you guys. We look forward to seeing her in August as well, because she's part of the family, y'all. So if you're looking to continue this journey to liberate your life, talking to your younger self, current self, and older self, so that you can become the best version of you, then you definitely want to connect with this queen right here, Andrea Luzon. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you all for having me.
You bet. Thanks for coming.
Such an honor.
Absolutely. Once again, you guys can check her out. Go to her website, Andrea Luzon, the Life Liberator, at www.andrealuzon.com. We appreciate her so much, and we hope you guys have gotten everything you could get out of this monthly mastermind series, Becoming the Best You. Hopefully, something said or heard, some note that you took, you will put into action to help you become the best version of you. Brenda, I'm going to slide through some of these comments because there were some nuggets that came along the
Oh,
way
yes.
all day. But what really stood out for you?
You know, what stood out for me today was the consistency of being true to yourself. You know, even the first guy, Brent said, pay yourself first, right?
Yeah.
And then Tradon talks about you were born to be great. You know, just on and on and on. Gary had to pull himself out of a rut, and in order to do that, he had to put himself first. And I'm not saying put yourself first in a negative way. I'm saying put yourself first so that you can take care of business. Andrea had to experience this breakdown and had to learn to put herself first so that she could overcome it. Because, you know, if you're not at your best, how are you going to work for anybody else? So that's what really stood out for me the most, is the consistency of becoming the best you is to start with you.
Absolutely. And we gave you some nuggets today that can help you in your finances. Brent Kessler talked about earning 4% from the bank, keeping your money in the bank, but taking out the loan, paying 6% on that loan, and taught you a strategy on how you can still make money in something that doesn't, on the face, doesn't look like it's possible. So you definitely want to go back and catch the replay on that one if you missed that nugget. And then let's move forward. Let's see some other comments that came out of some other people that talked during this day. You know, we had a lot of comments about stand up and be strong. Coach G gave us that comment, and Coach Chuck also agreed with that, to stand up and be strong. And then Trey Don, you know, they say out of the mouths of babes. And for this broadcast, he was the babe on the broadcast. But he reminded us that greatness is our birthright. But we
It was
make the choice.
powerful.
Yes, yes, yes. We make the choice on what we do with it. We could be great like our birthright, or we can choose to be mediocre. The choice is yours. And then let's move down to let's keep going down. He also said, tap into your forgotten greatness. Because many times we forget just how great we are.
We
But
do.
when
We
you
let our circumstances outweigh who we are.
Yes, absolutely. Rich Steffens, he told us that this was great presentations and great messages. Thank you, Rich, for joining us. We learned about neurodivergent, and I told you, it was such a powerful statement that, I was fumbling over it a couple of times, but it simply means a little
A little
different.
different, and
But
you know what? I like being a little different.
yeah, because isn't that what makes us unique? I
Hmm.
think so. I really agree with that. So no matter whether you was with us from the beginning or you came somewhere in the middle or you came at the end, we thank you so much for joining us for another BTBY Presents the Mastermind series. We'll be doing these each and every month leading up to our next event in August 25th in Kansas City. So we want to make sure you have your face in the place. Join us August 25th through the 27th. Going over to comechangeyourlife.com. You can get all the details. We've got some specials there on the website, but you got to go on over in order to get the information. So until the next time, I'm Terrence, the Unstoppable Coach Leffridge, and this is
Brenda Ringwood, the professor of change. And let me tell you, change is possible.
Absolutely. And as I always say, no matter where you are in the world today, don't just make it a great day. Go out and become the best version of you and make it an unstoppable day. We'll talk to you guys real soon. Take care.
Bye, guys.